My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Me and you are going to break down the entire UFC Saudi Arabia fight card. If you're wondering what the hell is going on here and where's Jakey boy? Well, Jakey boy sent me a message like, hey, I'm not really feeling up to it. I don't think I can do the show. So I said, no worries. Let's see if we can get the community in on this. So BetSam's going to be joining me in a little bit. In the meantime, you can join this stream and help break down these fights with me. If you are a premium member, you want to hop on here and give me your predictions and your breakdown along with mine, you can do so now. The link to join is on your account page in premium, your account page inside of the app, or inside the Discord in the premium alerts channel. If you're wondering, where's Jacob? Did he die? He's not dead. Here's your proof of life. Jakey boy and I were at fights on Saturday. We went to the PFC, a local show here in Texas. They host a phenomenal event. We went there, we vlogged it, and it was unbelievable. It was some of the best regional MMA I have ever seen. There were some awesome fights, some absolute electric moments in there. That arena went berserk. Just a Co-America, good-sized arena right here in Texas, and they had that place sold out. It was as busy as any UFC prelims I've ever seen. So that was spectacular. If you want to watch that vlog, here is the thumbnail. Check that out. Ton of fun, super easy vlog. Lots of really cool local fights. And I think we're going to do more of that. As these local shows come around, we're going to give them some money. We're going to support them, support those fighters, watch the fights, vlog the experience. You can check that out here. And once you're done checking that out, go ahead and check your calendar to make sure you're free on Saturdays, because UFC is about to absolutely steamroll the next couple of months. If you've been watching these fights as long as I have, and you've been hitting this post-COVID cadence with us, you know that UFC does a couple of long stretches a year. Right in the beginning of the year, they do an insanely long multi-month stretch with no breaks whatsoever. Then they take 1 week off and they do it all over again. Then they take 1 week off. They do another really long stretch. And then towards the end of the year, we get a couple events spotty, couple events spotty. We're about to hit a 16 event stretch. That means for the next 16 Saturdays, with no break whatsoever, we will be treated to UFC fights. That means you will have full access to every safety parlay, pick, bet, and tool for every single event, every single Saturday. No more breaks. No more trying to time the break. None of that nonsense. If you do want to check all of these fights out, we have UFC Saudi Arabia this weekend. UFC 312 next weekend. A lot of people trashing that card, but the main event is awesome. The co-main event is awesome. And there's some decent matchup. The main card has a little bit to be desired, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Then we have a couple of fight nights, and the best part is the UFC is not going to the Apex every single non-pay-per-view week. They are doing an absolute road show, hitting up regional arenas all throughout the country, doing a UFC Seattle, going to Tampa again, going to Miami. They're going all over the place. So we're going to see a lot of really fun events with some solid names in some new arenas. And if you do want to unlock all the picks, the bets, the tools, and everything else, everything that we offer is available to you inside of the app. The app is 100% free. But if you do want to unlock some of the perks of the app, all you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. It's freaking $10. Every pick, bet, tool, and everything else we do is available. One package, no bullshit, no nonsense. The app itself has everything we offer on the website, plus push notifications. Anytime we place a bet, bang, you'll get that notification on your phone. Inside the app, you'll have full access to the safety parlay, 10 of the last 12. And you may say, but Angelo, Rinya Nakamura. Listen. Rinya Nakamura was a world-level wrestler. Rinya Nakamura was basically an Olympic wrestler. We have seen 9 Rinya Nakamura fights previously. They all ended by knockout, and they all had a bunch or wrestle heavy. And he showed up in this fight and he didn't wrestle. You can't hold that on me. You can't put that on me. That's on Rinya. But even with the people like the Rinyas, even with the Rinyas of the world, showing up not doing whatever the hell they're supposed to do and what they have been doing forever, we have hit 10 of the last 12 safety parlays, a 54% ROI from one single bet. But it's not just bets. We also have fantasy plays and DraftKings ownership. If you play DraftKings Fantasy, you understand how wildly important it is to have the best DraftKings ownership projections in the world, and we do have those. We're beating out the Awesomos, the Ronan Grinders, the Titans of industry, and we're doing so in that freaking $10 a month umbrella. You also have tools like the data analyzer. A lot of you like to do your own research. I see it all the time. Love the boys, but I do my own research. Great. Well, we just made research 1,000,000 times easier for you in the data analyzer. Not only does it have every single data point you could ever want, need, or look for, it also has full tape study couple clicks of the button, and then you're watching the fights themselves with your own eyes so you can see what you need to see to find your spot. You're going to have full access to everybody and everything. It's not just me. We got a couple of blokes, I think that's what they call themselves, from New Zealand, and we got a robot. At the end of the day, there's 5 people and robots picking fights, giving you bets, giving you breakdowns. One wild umbrella. The goal here is to give you the most undeniable value in this space. WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member. Freaking $10. What are we doing? $10. $2.50. $10 an entire month. And if you want to send something for the vlog, here's the address. We Want Picks, P.O. Box 406 in Prosper, Texas, 75078. This last vlog, the one that I just showed you, where Jakey Boy and I went to go watch some regional fights, I was sent some underwear that also doubles as a holster. If you're a small business and you're trying to showcase a product, send it over. If you're a fan of the show, send a letter. If you're a premium member, send a letter. We Want Picks, P.O. Box 406, Prosper, Texas, 75078. And let's go ahead and break down this card. As I mentioned, if you're just popping on right now, where's Jacob? Where's Jacob? Where's Jacob? Jakey Boy sent me a message about an hour and a half before the show saying, hey, I don't think I'm going to make it. So he said, you know what? It's already scheduled. It's on the board. Let's go ahead and do this with the community. I see you in the queue. Aiden, turn your camera on if you want to help me break down this Hamdy versus Jamal fight. Anybody else, if you want to hop on here and break down these fights with me, call into the show. If you're a premium member, there's a link on your account page or in the Discord. Aiden, how are you? Where are you calling from?
What's going on, Angelo? My name's Aiden. I'm from Canada, actually closer to the falls, if you know where that's at.
No. Oh, like Niagara Falls.
So like the Buffalo side, I think, is the Horseshoe Falls, but like I think we got the bigger side, yeah.
Gotcha. Well, welcome. We're going to run this show like I run it with Jacob. I'm going to do my half. I'll hand it to you. You do your half. Are you good to go?
I think so, yeah. These two guys should.
Well, you better start doing your research because I'm about to hit my flow.
To be honest, brother, I really thought this was just like, you know, give your
regular call-in show,
question, whatever you got. But I do apologize, brother. I didn't read too great.
No, you're good. And you're going to help me break down this fight. Opening up the UFC Saudi Arabia fight card, we do have Hamdy Abdelwahab taking on Jamal Pogues. Hamdy Abdelwahab is quite the guy. He is 3-0 in his MMA career, but that's because he has moved over from other sports. He was a high-level wrestler, an Olympian, to be more specific. He moved into MMA a little while ago. He is 3-0-1 in his last 5. He's taking on Jamal Pogues. Jamal Pogues, 11-4 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that bounce-back win over Thomas Petersen. I mentioned Hamdy. He was a high-level wrestler. He competed in the Junior Olympics. He competed in the Real Olympics. He also hasn't competed in 2 full years because he got popped by USADA for a couple of banned substances. They kicked him out. He served his sentence. He is now back. The question is, anytime you get somebody with that long of a layoff, you just don't know what to expect. Is he going to come back, lessons learned, in great shape, ready to go? Or is he sloppy? He hasn't done anything in 2 full years. But if we just assume he is who he is, he's a high-level wrestler that will bomb away. He's not afraid to get into a fist fight. He'll use just sloppy overhands to set up those takedowns. We saw him in his UFC debut where he was sloppy, but he did ultimately win that fight with a couple of takedowns. Taking on Jamal Pogues. Jamal Pogues is a busy heavyweight. He doesn't have that giant heavyweight power, but what he does have is volume and forward pressure. He's always throwing something. He's got a decent pace. He doesn't, as I mentioned, have that big one-punch knockout power, but he makes up for it with just constant forward motion and things constantly flying at you. On the regional scene, he has had quite a few takedowns. He also had 7 takedowns on his first Contender Series fight. He's not a dangerous heavyweight, but he is there. He will move. He is coming off that win over Thomas Petersen, where the cardio actually looked horrible. And when he was taken down, he didn't have much to offer. And because of that, I was surprised to see that at one point in time, Jamal Pogues was a good-sized favorite here. About -120, -130 favorite, and Hamdy was the underdog. Olympic wrestler is an underdog against the guy who has nothing to offer when he is taken down. Hamdy is going to be my pick literally for that reason. He's not a guy I can fully trust. I know BetSam trusts him a little more than I do, and he'll be on the show in a little bit. Do you have opinions on this fight? I'm picking Hamdy. Do you think the wrestling is going to matter here?
Well, as you were saying, if you were saying they were both going to go for a wrestling style kind of game, honestly, I'm going to go with Hamdy here. personally, but I heard you were mentioning that Jamal had not as great of a gas tank as his opponent, right? So if it goes to a grapple matchup style, I think come the second, third round, maybe Jamal might gas out a bit. So I'm gonna have to agree with you on that pick.
I also imagine Jamal's going to struggle a little bit. I think if I'm Jamal, the only real game plan I can have here is let me throw as many strikes as possible. Let me stay in Hamdy's face, back him up, get him confused, and maybe win that fight. Because if he's going to be initiating takedowns, I don't think he's taking down an Olympian.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I absolutely agree with you there. No.
All right,
Grappling
so we've got
looks great.
Yeah, and the stats are always interesting because you're going to see 0% takedown defense for Hamdy. That's not because he can't defend a takedown. That's because nobody has shot a takedown. So it hasn't been tested yet. And I imagine it's not going to be tested in this fight. Hamdy's the pick. Right now, the odds are dead even. They opened dead even. They are dead even right now, but there was movement in between. We didn't go from even to even forever. People took a stance and they went to the Jamal side and the line took off a little bit. And I think what ended up happening is people saw that and like, this is crazy. This guy's an Olympian. And then the odds came back down, and these might constantly yo-yo back and forth because I think people are just going to pick whatever side they want to be on. Either a guy that's been out for 2 years or a guy that can't really do much if he's taken down.
Yeah. Personally, Hamdy's the pick, but I'm going to have to stay off of this one, brother. So pick him.
I think I'm with you. If Hamdy goes back to plus money, I might pull the trigger. We lost a couple of fights on this card, so kind of find some value here, but it is what it is. You have any last words for me? You said you thought this was a call-in show. Did you have a question for me before we move on to the next fight?
Well, I was actually going to ask you a question about the MVP Shara Bullet fight, if you don't mind. If I can come back later, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll find you in the queue. I appreciate you calling in.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Angelo. I appreciate it.
No
Love
problem.
the stuff you do. Have a good night, brother.
You too. Appreciate it. Before we move on to the next fight, I see you in there, Crans. Become a premium member. Go to WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's freaking $10 every pick, bet, tool, every single freaking thing that we offer is available to you instantly across the board. No tiers, no $10 add-ons. It's $10 total for everything. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. We got Crans. How you doing, buddy?
What's going on, Angelo? Good, dude. Got another night here where I got the kids down early and I thought I'd call in and see what's up with some fights.
Well, there you go, because I was full panic mode trying to get my kids down because my wife was like, hey, I'm going to – well, and she was like, hey, I'm going to step out. I got to go to Home Goods real quick. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, okay. So my kids are supposed to go to bed at 7 p.m. We do this show at 7:30. That 30 minutes – feels like a long time. It goes by like the get in your bed, get back in your bed, get under your cover. It's a whole thing. Yeah, but we made it work.
Absolutely, we did. We got it done.
All right, well, here we go. You ready to break down this fight with me?
All right, yeah, let's do it.
All right. Next up at the UFC Saudi Arabia fight card, we have Bogdan Grad taking on Lucas Alexander. This is an interesting fight with a lot of line movement. Bogdan Grad opening as a 2-1 favorite. A couple of short weeks later, all of a sudden he is squarely the underdog. A full-blown flip has happened here. Bogdan Grad 14-2 in his career. 4-1 in his last 5. He is coming off that redemption win on the Contender Series, and he is making his official UFC debut. Taking on Lucas Alexander, 14-7 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming back after a full year away. And what makes this fight pretty interesting is Bogdan's a well-rounded guy. He's a pretty controlled guy when you watch him, but he's got plenty of finishes. Even though when you go out there and you watch his tape and you look at what he's doing, it doesn't seem like he's chasing a finish, and he's not going crazy, but this guy has 11 stoppages in those 14 wins. He's well-rounded. He's got solid striking. The striking's pretty straightforward. He's going to stick to jabs. He's going to stick to setups instead of just bombing and looking for something big. He's got heavy kicks as well. He'll invest in those legs early, try to slow you down to take advantage there, and he will attempt multiple takedowns. If he gets a takedown, he's looking for control more than chasing. As I mentioned, well-rounded guy who will make adjustments in the fight, and If you're just watching the tape, he doesn't seem like a guy that gets finishes. But then if you look at the stats, all of a sudden, wow, this guy does a ton of finishes. He's taking on Lucas Alexander. Lucas Alexander might be the exact opposite in style. Powerful striker. He likes to showcase. He is flashy. He is chasing finishes. He uses kicks well to manage range. He'll explode inside the pocket. The grappling's okay. It's mostly defensive, but he does use that defensive wrestling to end up on top, to work in those grappling scrambles. He's got big power. He's got diverse striking. He's got solid training partners. And when he has cardio, which is not all the time, he can be a real threat. He is coming off that loss to Jekasar guy about a year ago. I like Bogdan here. I thought Bogdan was the pick when he was minus 120, minus 130. I never saw him at minus 200. And now that he's squarely the underdog, I think he's a solid underdog. I fully understand the love for Lucas Alexander here. Lucas is a fun guy. He has plenty of finishing upside. He can move forward. He can make things happen. But I think Bogdan's ability to stay controlled in the chaos will only help him out and help him find his openings. If he can lay out those leg kicks early, if he can sneak in a takedown, sort of slow the pace of Lucas, I think Bogdan will have some success. So I'm going Bogdan here. Was a massive favorite, is now the underdog. I haven't quite pulled the trigger on a bet yet because we're going to see where that line goes. What do you think, Krantz?
I think that if Jacob was sitting here and instead of me, I think Jacob would be on Lucas Alexander. And I also think I kind of would agree with Jacob. Hopefully Jacob's going to pick Lucas Alexander.
I'll tell you who he picked.
I'm pretty sure he picked Brazil.
I gotta look on premium.
Really, that's what it came down to. Was,
Jacob did pick Lucas Alexander.
He did, and and it comes down to just betting against Brazil. And on this fight in particular, I mean, I know Bogdan Grad's got some finishes, right? And Lucas Alexander, obviously in his last fight, we saw that he can be finished. Pretty sure he lost by a first round knockout. Yep. But he also has got some decent wins in there too. Like I think Steven Petersen, he's not terrible. I thought he beat Chase Hooper a while back.
Steve Peterson's solid. Steve Peterson's a good fighter.
Yeah, I think it's a good match. And just for me, I think I'm gonna be on the Brazil side. I think, like we said, Jacob's on Brazil too, and I kind of like him here. Otherwise, I do agree with what you said. I see both sides in this fight. I mean, it's not confident. Like, I don't know that I'm going to put a serious bet on Lucas, but it is a pick. I would pick Lucas in this spot.
It is definitely a pick. I don't hate the Lucas pick. And when Lucas was an underdog, I was like, this is a solid underdog. And now that he's the favorite, it's like, I understand why he's the favorite. I understand that line movement. He's also the more proven entity of the two of them. He does have some UFC level wins. And yes, he got knocked out by Jekka, who's kind of a bum.
Yeah, Jekka.
Jekka's kind of a bum.
I know.
No.
You know what? I'm going to give him that one. It's I know it wasn't like his UFC debut or anything, but.
I mean, Jekka's got that sneaky power, and you can get caught with the sneaky power. It is what it is, right? It can happen to not everybody, but most fighters it can happen to. So I get.
And if I sit down and watch Lucas Saturday night get just laid out on the canvas because he was going in reckless and Bogdan caught him with something clean, then I wouldn't surprise me.
And that's exactly.
But I did sprinkle Lucas at plus money.
I mean, Lucas at plus money was a solid bet, and I think Bogdan at plus money. I think this is a 50-50 fight. So the opening odds were obscene to me. The current odds kind of make some sense, right? You have the obvious guy in Lucas, meaning obvious, he's moving forward, he's doing flashy stuff, he looks dangerous. And then you have the sneaky dangerous guy in Bogdan, who has 11 finishes in 14 wins, even though he comes out with a controlled pace, controlled energy, and just finds it when it comes to him. The DraftKings line is a little bit wide with 8,300 and 7,900. And what's interesting about the DraftKings lines and the betting odds is that the DraftKings lines don't change. That $8,300 was established when Bogdan was the favorite. He is obviously no longer the favorite, but here we are. $8,300.
I don't think I'm going to be putting Bogdan. Maybe I'll have Lucas in a couple of the bigger tournaments. I play DraftKings.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have Lucas in a couple bigger tournaments just because I like the price. And really the only thing I'm scared of is, like I said, if he gets knocked out again in the first round, Bogdan, it could happen. But I still am thinking that Lucas could score really well if he gets a win. So he could break the slate.
I actually think whoever wins this fight likely wins by finish. The upside is probably more on the Lucas side, meaning I actually think he is more dangerous of the two, even though he was the more recently finished of the two. But this should be a really fun fight, and it's pretty early on the card to set the tone for the rest of the card. This whole card starts at like 8 a.m. my time. So we'll be
I'm okay with that.
Drinking coffee.
Ish. Yeah, we'll be having a coffee instead of a couple margaritas, but I'm okay with that. I don't really have a whole lot. There's no sports going on right now. I know your kids are in sports, but
I have
out of soccer season, so
I'm in a nice little window here where my oldest sports are on Friday nights, and then my youngest, she does soccer. Soccer is not back yet. So for now, this being early on Saturday is actually spectacular, and I'm good with it.
Same here.
Bogdan Grad's going to be my pick. Seems like Crans and Jakey Boy, who's not here, is going with Lucas Alexander. If you do want to unlock all the picks, all the bets, all the tools, everything that we do, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's freaking $10 for an entire month, and you have access to every single thing we do for 4 events. Any last word, Crans?
My only last words is we're getting ready for 9 weeks, I think, straight.
It's 16, I believe.
Is it 16? I thought there was a week off somewhere.
No, there's
Maybe
11.
Right.
There's 11 fully listed and announced on the UFC's website, and then obviously there's others because the UFC is terrible at announcing their own shit. There's others that have not been announced yet, but the rumors are swirling.
Yeah, bro, you're right. Wow,
it's great. I love this time.
Great
this time of year is amazing.
Member. Every weekend every Saturday, literally every Saturday there's a fight.
What's funny
March
is
29th.
What's funny is I do this, and sometimes it's cumbersome, right? Like after UFC pay-per-views, I watch the pay-per-view. I don't drink, which I love a good drink. I don't drink during the pay-per-view because I have to sit in this exact chair at 1:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, depending on the event. I have to put together the whole PowerPoint presentation. I have to do the whole thing, film a video, chop it up, and then try to calm myself down, which is very hard to do, so I can fall asleep. So on one hand, it gets intense, especially some of these fight nights are pay-per-view timing with a 9 p.m. main card. On the other hand, when there are not fights, part of me is like, nice, a night off. And then the other part is like, what do I do with my life? This is great. This is the only thing I care about outside of my family.
I know I'm with you. Unless there's some family thing going on to distract me, I'm kind of like, what am I doing with my life? There's no fights on like Saturday night. I'm like, this is weird. I don't know.
It is tricky. I end up, what does happen during those stretches, and I know the wife hates it, but it is what it is. What ends up happening is we'll go out to dinner, we'll do whatever, and I just have my phone and I'm just watching the fights like this. And then I do a recap after watching a fight with 0 audio, and people are like, you idiot, how could you have seen it that way? It's like, that's how I saw it. I didn't have anybody influencing my opinion. That's how I saw it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you hopping on. Thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, no problem.
And good luck this weekend.
Thanks, man. You too. Later, chat.
See ya. Philip, you requested to break down the Balaji fight. That fight is canceled. So you're coming on, you're breaking down Jasudavicius with me.
That's fine.
And there we go. How you doing, Philip? Where are you calling from?
Seattle. Tacoma, Washington, but I could say Seattle is a major city.
I'm flying into Tacoma later this week.
Holy shit.
What's your weather like?
Cold. Right now it's really cold. Not a lot of snow. So far, so good.
There you go.
Usually this time of the year is pretty rainy.
Isn't that Seattle's thing? Just rainy as hell all the time, always?
Yeah, but I have to defend Seattle a little bit on that weather because it's not raining like North Carolina where it pours down.
Yeah,
it just drizzle.
Gross
nonstop.
mist. Yeah. Yeah.
But the summer is nice. The summer is beautiful.
Well, there we go.
Yeah. So, well, unfortunately, I can't do a breakdown on Balaji Oki, but we'll do this one right after you.
Here we
Take
go.
it away.
Next up at UFC Saudi Arabia, we have the first ever UFC female fight in Saudi Arabia. We got Jasmine Jasudavicius taking on Mayra Bueno Silva. Jasmine Jasudavicius 12-3 in her career, 4-1 in her last 5, and she is on a nice 4-fight win streak. She's taking on Mayra Bueno Silva, 10-4 in her career, 2-1 in her last 5. She is coming off that TKO loss to Macy Chasson, but that was a cut more so than it was a beatdown, if you will. Jazzy, as we affectionately know her, is a nonstop wrestler. She looks to come forward. She will push a pace. She will strike. She'll engage on the feet, and then she'll work in her takedown. She's got good clinch work. She'll control the body. She'll throw heavy knees, and then she'll just shoot straight up doubles, run a single, and work some trips. She is a very accomplished wrestler. She wrestled long before her MMA career, and I like to point that out every time we break her down because that's important. There is a difference between some of these people who learn how to wrestle in fight camp and people who have been wrestling their entire life and then learn the other skills. Jasmine Jasudavicius is somebody that is learning the other skills, doing so somewhat rapidly, and she is coming off that dominant win over Ariane Lipski. You may see her listed as Ariane De Silva, where she had some takedowns, had the control, and absolutely destroyed everybody's over 2.5 by 2 whole seconds. She's taking on Mayra Bueno Silva. Mayra Bueno Silva is a pretty dangerous fighter. Striking's decent. The power's there. She's got good kicks. She likes to charge forward, just throw whatever the hell she can, and then try to get these fights to the ground. On the ground, she is very dangerous. The problem is, like a lot of others, while she has the skills on the ground, she doesn't have the skills to necessarily get it there. Takedowns kind of suck. Takedown defense isn't spectacular. She is one of the more dangerous women in the division, especially on the ground. And she is coming out that loss to Macy Chasson, where she was having success, and then that cut split her wide open, and the doctor stopped it. I love Jasmine here. I've picked Jasmine in a lot of fights. She's been in more than one safety parlay, either directly or the over 2.5. I've bet on her a ton of times, both as a dog and as a favorite. This fight early on, if you guys know this, I've been breaking down this event for about 3 weeks now. I did it during the break. And in this fight, I've been always picking Jasmine. I've been staying true to that pick. But I was a little nervous early on because I said, I understand Mayra Bueno Silva's on a bit of a skid. I understand Mayra Bueno Silva has had some ups and downs. But if we look at her recent fights, her last fight, she was winning and then got cut. The fight before that, she lost to the world champion in a title fight. And the fight before that, she beat a former world champion in Holly Holm. And they went ahead and took that win away because she had Ritalin in her system. It was either Ritalin or Adderall, one of those. But either way, she is fighting at a high level. She is having some success. So I was a little nervous about Jasmine. And then the comments and the viewers overwhelmingly said, Mayra Bueno Silva is a quitter with no cardio. Jasmine wins this fight. And I don't know if it's that influence or just breaking it down over and over and over and just getting more and more confident. But I do trust Jasmine more and more every time I break down this card. What do you think, Philip?
Well, I do think that Silva is pretty dangerous, and I've seen several highlights in that pretty much who she is. You said that she doesn't have good cardio, but keep in mind.
I didn't say that. The comment section says that.
Okay, yeah, the comment section said that she doesn't have a cardio, but this is a 3-round fight, and I think that, well, there's a conflicting comments here. You know, this is a 3-round fight, but she's also coming down a weight class, if I'm not mistaken.
Which may or may not affect. She is
right. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. She might just go blazing in first round just to get a finish. But I do agree with the comment section about how she might be a quitter because we saw that in the fight against Petersen, where after like second rounds, like she won first round. After the second round, I think she might have won the second round too, but third and fourth and fifth, she just looks like she's lost. Like even when she's getting punched, she just like eyes wide open and have no response. She almost like shocked by Raquel's ability to just, you know, stay in the pocket and push through it.
Sure.
So there I'm a little like split between my opinion. My opinion about Jasmine, I don't have a lot of study on Jasmine, but I do see that she can wrestle, and she's not like any other girls where she don't just, you know, lay and pray. She's trying to like get some damage done. So I have to slightly favor Jasmine. I don't have a bet other than what you already posted. I don't have her in parlays like some people would have parlays just because they see you guys bets. What I do have is Silva win inside decision, no action. I think that might be a good sneaky play. We'll see how it goes. Depends on how she, present herself in this fight. Yeah, I can't. For Silva, I only went back and studied Raquel Pennington again.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be win inside the distance decision, no action on Mayra Bueno Silva. Could be sneaky because Jasmine's not typically a finisher. She did just finish Ariane Lipski, but that's because Ariane Lipski's a striker who, when she was taken down, was a bit clueless. Ariana did have I thought she looked pretty good striking, and what ends up happening, though, is sometimes I get too nervous. Like I'm negative in nature while watching a fight. And while I'm a very positive guy for the most part, when I'm watching a fight and I have a bet, I'm a curmudgeon. She's going to lose. She looks like shit. I'm screwed. And that's what was sort of happening in that last fight with Jasmine, where I was like, man, she's getting touched up. This may not go well. And then luckily it all came together. She got that fight to the ground. She got the finish. Mayra Bueno Silva probably doesn't get finished off of her back, right? Mayra Bueno Silva most likely can survive, do well, maybe even threaten Jasmine because her jiu-jitsu is so good. This could be a weird fight where Jasmine doesn't even want to get it to the ground because that's Mayra's best chance to win this fight is on the ground. So Jasmine, who's the far better wrestler, may just stick to the striking. Same way she beat Miranda Maverick. She only had a couple of takedowns in that fight, and she just stuck to the striking and got it done. That's a very unfortunate freeze frame. I don't know if you could hear me.
Right? Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
There we go. All right, unfrozen.
Yeah, I think Silva. I was going to say Silva, even though you mentioned that she has more threats on the ground, I think that she might have some advantage in the clinch. Those tight clinch, not really wrestling clinch where she's sniffing crouches, but in the break between the wrestling exchange, she might sneak in a little elbow and get the job done there. We don't really know. We don't really know how she's going to perform with the weight cut.
The weight cut, I imagine the weight cut will negatively affect her because it is very hard, especially for a woman. Let's think about the body percentage. 10 pounds when you only weigh 135 pounds is a massive percentage. And it's not as if Mayra was thick, jiggly. So another 10 pounds is a tremendous weight cut. I mean, this fight could potentially even get canceled on the scale. I have no idea. I don't want to make assumptions. Maybe she cuts it flawlessly. But I imagine it will either affect her power or her cardio. And either one of those things being affected only benefits Jasmine. So I think coming down in weight is going to negatively affect Mayra Bueno Silva.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I do want to give a shout out to the data analyzer. Like that shit is legit.
Do my pitch for me.
Yeah, you just got to put some time in it. I mean, like everybody else, majority of the people, we just probably follow tail you guys bets, and we might just enjoy the night. But during the off days,
another freeze. Listen, I agree with you. I was a big proponent during that 3-week break in Christmas. I was like, use the data analyzer. This is built out for future events. Do a little bit of your own research. Find your own spots. You might just, honestly, what helps me find spots sometimes, and I hate it because the work is absolutely brutal, is making these graphics. I don't know if you've noticed these graphics, but these are the best graphics in the world. I freaking have to fill these out. Every single word on here, every number I type out by hand. I have to get the fighter images. I have to resize it. It takes me hours to do these graphics for a whole fight card. And while that sucks, what it does do is present all this information like front and center in my face. So as I'm digging through, and there's nothing outstanding on this fight in particular, but there are times where I'll be like, wow, I didn't know that person was almost 40, or like, holy shit, I didn't realize their takedown defense was so bad. And then as I'm doing that, then I can find my spots. The data analyzer can do the exact same thing for you. The data analyzer, as you work through it and as you see those data plot points right in your face, it's like, well, I didn't realize this. And then you can go ahead and find a spot. So thanks for doing a data analyzer pitch for me.
You can use data analyzer right before the fight just to like find some props, especially, the total strikes or who's going to have a higher strike, who's going to have a lesser strike. And you can just click on the outcome and see I always pick the outcome, as in, if there's two options, I always pick the outcome, lose outcome, to see how much can they actually get a significant strike going. And then that's where I find those little props. And last thing, can we get Artems to do a graphic like you guys do? I mean, BetSam got graphics similar to you guys.
What's funny is
full,
Artem
full-blown graphics.
I trash the Tapology crew, right? I'm all about, if you're just doing fight breakdowns and your weird monotone nonsense and you just have Tapology on in the background, good luck. Good luck competing with this charm and these graphics. And Artem, while he's not monotone, has the Tapology in the background. He was messaging me. He's like, hey, can I get your template? Like, can you? And I was like, well, you can't use my template. Like, you can get another template. Like, you can make your own template. The problem is, it literally takes hours. So first you have to do the research and then do the fight picks and know what to say. So that's many, many hours. But then to do the graphics is another chunk of it. I mean, for me to prepare for this Tuesday show, first of all, I have to do it a whole week ahead of time. So right now, UFC 312 is basically done. The graphics are done. The breakdowns are basically done. Just a few more tweaks. There's a few picks I'm not 100% sold on yet. So I'm a full week ahead. But it's like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours worth of work to get to that point, depending on the fight card. So it's much easier to just put Tapology on in the background, click record, and just read the green and red dots on the screen and just pretend you know what you're talking about. So that's why most people do that.
Yeah, I do appreciate Artem's the raw notes on his Artem MMA
His articles
within We Want Picks site. He has that's how I was able to actually read his comments on the fight, especially the PFL fights, because I didn't really have time to listen to people break down, but I could just quickly look to his webpage within We Want Pick and see the confidence level of each fights within the card.
Artem has picked more perfect non-UFC cards than anybody I've ever heard of in my life. Whether it's PFL or Bellator, RIP, some of those other events, he has picked more perfect cards in those events than anybody. It's crazy. Artem also gets a little sensitive. Just this week, he had like I think he did a phenomenal job picking PFL. He like missed one pick or something. And people were like, you loser, you got that one pick wrong. And instead of just rolling your eyes at like, no, I did a great job. Like, this guy sucks. He was like, stop. I was like, Artem, what are you doing? Now you look like the baby. Ignore it and move on. Like, Jesus, dude. So, yeah, he does do a phenomenal job on those cards. I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much. Any last words for the people?
That's it. See you at UFC Seattle. I got the ticket.
There you go. Get yourself on camera.
Yep. We'll do.
Right, see ya.
All right. Peace.
We got BetSam here. How we doing?
What's up, brother? I'm all good. I just finished work, just rushed home, racing through traffic to make it here, fill in for Jacob in this occasion. I'm doing fantastic, though. Happy to be here.
I appreciate you. Avery, I see you in the queue. I'm going to break this down with BetSam, and then I'll throw you on to get your piece. Does that work for you? Give me a nod. I can't hear you. I can see you. All right. So, BetSam, you raced home. Is this what you wear to work? What the fuck do you do?
No, I have a uniform. I just pulled the uniform off. Yeah. Okay. I'm fucking sweaty, man. I would have still been at work.
This is what happened. Here, let me walk you through what happened with BetSam. Jacob, like an hour and a half before the show, was like, hey, man, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. And I was like, all right, maybe let me figure something out. I don't want to necessarily cancel the show. And I didn't know what that meant, right? If he was like, hey, can we just do it tomorrow? We'll do it tomorrow. But he's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it, like, whatever. So I said, all right, let me figure something out here. So I messaged you. And I said, you think you can hop on? I messaged my buddy Kunith as well. I said, do you think you could hop on? And then I didn't get an answer instantly, which is my thing. If I don't get answers instantly, I got to figure shit out, right? We're trying to run something here. So then I said, you know what? What if I did a hybrid full card breakdown and call-in show where people call in and give their own thing? We'll get a real feel for it, include the premium member community. But then after I threw that shotgun approach out there, BetSam was like, I can come on. I'd love to. So this is what I guarantee he did. He fucking raced home, flew home, immediately threw on.
Skipped the liquor store, went straight home this time.
immediately threw on what he thought would make him look best, did 28 push-ups real fast, trying to get a pump going, and then sat the hell down like, yes, we're going to get 20,000 views on this thing, and I'm going to have a pump.
I appreciate you thinking that I can do 28 push-ups, man. That's really generous of you, you know?
You know what's funny? I started, I'm very hot and cold with my training. Like, I got my blue belt in 2005. Right, literally 20 years ago. That's how hot and cold I am training jiu-jitsu. And I just
still
started.
Have the blue belt or no?
I still have it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
At this point, I don't even want to go up. And so I still have it. And I actually have two different. I go to two different gyms because of scheduling. Like there's the gym across the street that I love, Marco's gym. That's where Jacob and I fought. But some scheduling tweaks makes it a little tricky for me. I got little kids. I can't go at night. I'm not going at 5 o'clock in the morning, so it's a little tricky. There's this other gym that one of the kids on my daughter's volleyball team, the dad goes there. And their schedule is like nice. So I'm like, you know what? Let me go to both. I love this gym. I don't want to leave. And then when I have time, I'll go to that one, right? They have Sunday open mats. Perfect. The other gym does a pretty intense warm-up. And so I went and did the warm-up, and I was like, fuck, dude. You said 28 push-ups, and they do like 10 push-ups in like 3 different groups. It's like, God damn, like just shaking for the last 5. So, man, I get it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I did, this is slightly off topic and then we're going to jump back on it. I went to one like MMA proper class with my little brother who goes to them pretty frequently. And the warm up, they're like, oh, we're going to start with 77s. And I was like, oh, 77 what? And they're like, let's do 77 pull-ups. We're going to do like 77.
77 pull-ups?
77. I swear on my life, they're going to do sets. No, they don't do full ones though. They're kind of like half ripping it, if you know what I mean.
Kippings or whatever the hell they're called.
I don't know what they call them in New Zealand. They were just saying 77s, and I did that. And then by the time we got to the pads, I was like,
"Do you guys count different than we count? 77 is so many."
It is. No, this is. I couldn't do them, but like all the other fighters that were there were still like, blah. And I was like, by the time we got to the pads, it was just. And the guy that goes regularly was like, "Come on, bro," and I was. And I never went back again. I literally never went back again. I was like, fuck that. That's awful. Yeah.
77's there's a hole in this story somewhere. We'll figure out where. That's not.
I'll go back and video it next time I'm back in my hometown. I swear to God.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and break down this fight.
You want to jump in first?
Yeah, that's sort of how I'm the lead here. So yeah, that's how that works. Yeah.
All right. Let's do it.
Yeah, we will. Next up at UFC Saudi Arabia, we got Terrance McKinney taking on Damir Hadzovic. Terrance McKinney, been around forever, not very trustworthy. He is 15-7 in his career. He is 2-3 in his last 5. He's coming off that head kick knockout loss back in May. He's taking on Damir Hadzovic, 14-7 in his career, 2-3 in his last 5. Coming up that grapple heavy loss to Mark DeCasey, who was supposed to be a kickboxer about a year and a half ago. We all know Terrance McKinney at this point, right? He's got all the talent. All the talent. He was a JUCO All-American wrestler. He's got phenomenal hands. He's got speed. He's got grappling. He has literally every single aspect. The comparison I've always made is if this was a video game and you were only allotted a certain amount of points to add to the striking and the grappling, they gave him all the points. You used up all your points on grappling, striking, and wrestling, and you left no points over for chin or cardio. And those are the only 2 problems that Terrance McKinney has. He is taking on an elderly Damir Hadzovic. His striking is okay. He'll move forward. He'll just throw short punches. They're designed to get you against the cage so that he can take you down. If he gets you down, he's a hammer on top. And he has lost to some decent guys like Renato Moicano, Christos Gallegos. The UFC wins, however, don't hold up. He doesn't have a single win. Not one win over anybody actively on the UFC roster. And Damir is old, and Damir's not necessarily spectacular, so he's probably going to lose this fight. And these odds continue to widen because everybody knows he's probably going to lose this fight. My one and only concern, and maybe it's just me being a chicken shit, is Terrance McKinney's not somebody you can trust with everything. He has all the talent. There's no way he should lose to a 38-year-old man. Not in this fight, not with this stylistic matchup. But damn it, we've seen crazier things. Terrance is definitely the pick. What do you think? BetSam.
I mean, when you talk about Terrance McKinney and his cardio, I think his cardio gets overinflated with people's attempt at saying how bad it is. Because, I think he just throws a lot of energy out there. It's similar to like how we saw Dricus du Plessis start to look tired against Darren Till. You know, when you're throwing the fucking kitchen sink at everybody, you're trying to wrestle at 100 miles an hour. You're going to get tired. It doesn't matter if you're a performance athlete or not.
Not
unless
if you're
named.
training doing 77 pull-ups.
That's right. Only Merab Dvalishvili is the only guy who doesn't really get tired at that pace. But I don't think it's going to matter here. I mean, Damir Hadzovic, his last win came back in, 2021? A narrow decision win over Yancy Medeiros. You go back and watch that fight. It's not worthy of watching. And that's why the UFC put the only fight for Damir Hadzovic at Paulo Reyes. Paulo Reyes, you know, a fucking nobody in the sport as well. That win was back in 2019. I swear, all you got to do is just like look at this fight and just take the equation out of it. Should Terrance McKinney win? Absolutely. If you want to bet on him because you like to do. He shouldn't make everybody safe parlays or anything like that because there are other concerns there, but the dude should probably win. You know, it's that simple. I don't want to waste too much time on it. Terrance McKinney by finish, under 2.5 rounds, lock it in, you know?
Listen, I agree. I actually tried to parlay Terrance McKinney and Muhammad Naimov. I was like, you know what? Yeah. Two guys that are not quite trustworthy that should absolutely win. And Bet Online is who we use and have it locked. And I don't know if they locked the Terrance side or the Muhammad side, but they had it locked. But I do like that bet.
Like you can't put it together?
So Bet Online is one of the best sports books for betting on fights because they have the earliest odds, weeks out. They have all the fights. And they have the most amount of prop bets and the earliest prop bets. Like they already have round lines up. They already have every single prop bet you could want for a fight up. The only ones that get added later are takedowns and strikes. The problem is all of that introduces risk on their side, right? When you're offering 15 props per fight and you have these up earlier before anybody else and you have no other sports book to reference, you're really just out there on an island. So sometimes they will limit who you can and can't parlay. So like if they just add a fight, if Terrance McKinney got a new opponent 10 seconds from now, the odds will be up there almost immediately, but they won't let you parlay that. They wait for the lines to settle. So I don't know who was locked, whether it was Terrance because his line moved quick and that was odd, or if it was Naimov. But I tried to slap those two together and the website wouldn't let me. They didn't let me do it the other day. I tried it today. They wouldn't let me do it. But there's a sneak peek into premium membership. That bet may just show up at some point if they do let me do it.
Oh, I mean, like I got the Terrance McKinney before his odds were inflated here, and this was basically back as soon as this card, fully got announced for odds on my sportsbook, which is a little bit later than a lot of US sportsbooks. Things take a little bit of time to get to New Zealand, And I got Jasmine, Jasudavicius, and Terrance McKinney wrapped that together in a 2-leg, 1.93 on odds, so almost double your money there. I'm pretty happy with it,
Yeah. Yeah, 1.93 equates to minus 117 in our world. No, minus 107 our world. So yeah, that's solid. That's a solid little parlay. You and I are both on the same side with Terrance McKinney, $9,200 in DraftKings Fantasy. He should be. He's worth that salary previously. He should get it done. Let's go to Avery. You are live. You are on. Hit that mute button and tell us who you think wins this fight.
I gotta go McKinney. He should win this one.
You've been sitting there this whole time like, I'm going to say McKinney and they're going to fuck it.
Oh, no. I look-key thought you're going to – no, I honestly was hoping you'd save me for the Blob fight that's after this one. So I want to talk about that one if that's cool. But
Handsome? I think – all right, I'll throw you back in the queue. We can break down gorgeous Shamil.
But I do think Terrance McKinney wins. Like, don't trip. Oh, okay, I like that. Yeah, I think Terrance McKinney wins. He's going to come out super duper hard. He almost finished Dober in the first round. He was working Nazim Sadikov in the first round, and Damir Hadzovic is like a second generation
slow
UFC fighter.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Slow too. Honestly, if McKinney loses this one, then
that's it. Yeah,
that's tough. And honestly, you kind of really don't. Not even to be a dick or anything, but even after McKinney wins this fight, I'm totally gonna jinx it. Even after McKinney wins this fight, like who else does he beat? Like his chin doesn't stand up. He gasses out after one round. So who can he beat? Like Chase Hooper would destroy Terrance McKinney
if he could survive early. But yeah, no. Listen, he's a hard guy to trust, which is the problem here.
I'm like 90% confident. I just don't see how Terrance McKinney loses this fight because I don't think Hadzovic's gonna catch him or anything like that. I think
he's not dangerous. Yeah. Listen,
Yeah.
I agree. I've just got PTSD from some other Terrance McKinney should have been wins that didn't go that way after wild early success.
Yeah, man. Imagine if he got past Dover. That would have been.
Not even Dover. He had no success whatsoever with the brother. What was that brother?
Oh, Ishmael Bonfim.
Bonfim brother. Yeah. That was a fight where it's like, but actually that didn't go his way. That didn't go his way at all.
Bonfim, he didn't even he's not even looking that good. I mean, he took freaking what was
beat
it,
that old man.
Bichelle. He took Bichelle to a decision. I'm like, you should be finishing Bichelle.
100%. All right, well, let me throw you back in the queue. We'll get at you with Shamil. BetSam is part of premium membership. And if you want to get his picks and his bets and support his pump, you can do so now. Go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member, use his promo code, give him a couple of bucks. $10 for an entire month. And as I mentioned earlier, we're kicking off quite the stretch here. No breaks. Next week's UFC 312. Next up, at UFC Saudi Arabia, we have Shamil Gaziev taking on Thomas Petersen. I'm going to do my best not to say horrible things about how Shamil looks because I've been doing that far too often, and that's not fair because not everybody can be blessed. I just was born this way. I don't know how or why, it was like, let's make him good looking. And then they accidentally threw me in the ugly pile, so I got the good looking, but they put me in that pile where they give people personality, and I ended up with both. They're like, here's the personality and the good looks, send them down. And so I got lucky. Shamil missed both piles. And we're treated to a troll bridge. And he is taking on Thomas Petersen. Shamil Gaziev, 13-1 in his career. He is 4-1 in his last 5. He is coming off that bounce back win over Dontel Mays. He's taking on Thomas Petersen, 9-2 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off his own bounce back win over Muhammad Usman. Shamil Gaziev, he is a giant Dagestani, but instead of just being a non-stop wrestler, instead of the showcase that we saw in the last UFC pay-per-view loaded with Dagestanis, he's a powerful striker. He's going to march forward. He's going to land big. He's physically incredibly sloppy, but he will work in some spinning attacks. He's a little more athletic than the outside would have you thinking. He's had real power. He does have good hands. The striking style is pretty relaxed. There is wrestling in there. The cardio has been inconsistent. A couple fights ago, it didn't exist. Last fight, he did go 15 full minutes. Wasn't a crazy pace. So you can't really trust what you're going to get out of him. But you do know you're going to get a pretty well-rounded guy that hopefully learned his lesson with that first loss a couple fights ago. He's taking on Thomas Petersen. Peterson. I don't know why, but it hurts my eyes to see it spelled that way. But it is what it is. All E's, no O's. He's a solid wrestler. He'll work everything from bear hugs to doubles. His striking's not great, but he will close the gap. Straight punches while marching forward, and then when he gets you against the cage, he's going to try to drag you to the ground. If he cannot take you down, he can be in a little bit of trouble. If he does take you down, he's got great control. He's a hard guy to get out from underneath of. He is coming off that decision win over Muhammad Usman where he was sloppy, he was slow, but he was effective. I think Shamil gets it done. Obviously, there was a bit of fraud checking going on in that fight against Jairzinho Rozenstruik, but if we zoom out and we look at it for what it is, it was a guy in his second ever UFC. They threw him in a fight night main event against the guy that has been tried and true and fought some of the top 10 heavyweights on the planet, and it just was too much too soon, and I assume he has made those adjustments. Obviously, saw him in his last fight. Didn't look spectacular, but he had the cardio, which was the biggest issue. I think Shamil Gaziev gets it done. I think the odds are appropriate. Thomas Petersen's not particularly dangerous. Obviously, he can outlast Gaziev, but I don't think that's happening. What do you think, Sammy boy?
I mean, listen, Shamil, the meal deal Gaziev. This dude he's an interesting individual because, like you say, this guy, he's a striker. He kind of has the build of every dude at a barbecue over the age of 45. He's taking on Thomas Petersen here. And while, you say the odds are appropriate here, I think that Shamil Gaziev really showed that if things aren't going his way, he doesn't really have a plan B. He doesn't have a plan B. And also this is heavyweight. All it takes, I think, is for Thomas Petersen to get one single takedown in the first round. And this whole fight's going to flip its odds on the fucking head because the energy exchange between these big fellas, is if Thomas Petersen gets him down a minute and gets on top of him and just rides out the round, Shamil Gaziev he's going to be gassed. They're going to be slowed down to the same pace. And the striking advantage that he had is going to be dead in the window. I think, honestly, for me, it's not even dog or pass because Thomas Petersen has looked lackluster as well, and I would just skip this fight entirely. As far as a pick goes, I think Shamil gets it done as well, but my money's staying absolutely very clear of this fight.
Oh, see, I got a little parlay with Shamil in it. Not the safety. Not the safety. But I do. What I like to do when I do some of these parlays, obviously the safety parlay is my two most confident picks or bets on the card put together. Whether it's a round line lean, a money line, or both. Slap them together, and I'm like, I trust this. That's not what this is. What I also like to do is, if there's other fighters that I'm very confident in, I'll obviously put them together. I only do 2-leg parlays. I don't like doing 3. 4 is crazy. You people bullied me into 4 at UFC 311, and that didn't work out, and it never does. So I like to stick to 2, maybe 3 if things are crazy. What I did is I took Shamil and another fighter who, when I get there, I'll explain, who should win. I think they win. They should win. I trust them to win, which is why I'm betting on them, but I put them together. Instead of taking risky people and spreading them out and destroying 9 parlays, they only blow themselves up. So I do have Shamil in a little bit of a parlay to try to get some better value, but it's just a 2-legger, and I'll give you the other half when we get there. We have $9,300 in DraftKings Fantasy for Shamil. I will avoid that. I'm going to avoid that because even if I think he wins, which I do, I don't know if he's going to finish Thomas Petersen. Thomas is a guy who can be somewhat durable. He might have his own success wrestling. And this could be like a 29-28 kind of fight where Shamil gave up a round because to Sam's point, he was taken down, couldn't get back up. And Thomas Petersen didn't have much success outside of that. So we have a boring heavyweight slug lay-in fray. So Shamil's the pick, avoiding DraftKings Fantasy. And let's bring Avery back on because he wanted to talk about Handsome over here. What do you got?
First thing I have a question is, how's my feed coming in on your side? Is it super slow, delayed, or anything?
No, you're monotone, but other than that, feed's great.
Okay, wait, well, okay, all right, cool. Okay, all right, cool. So 2025 UFC, this heavyweight, this is as elite, this is as elite as it gets to specimen right here. But yeah, it's just gonna be a blob off. It's just gonna be who can blob their way to a, I don't know, split decision. I mean, Shamil is
that's a decent looking guy.
Yeah, for sure. If you're like if you're from the Caucasus, maybe you never seen a man from Western society. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I think Shamil's going to win. He may take down Petersen maybe once or twice, but I think he's probably just going to win by decision, holding Thomas Petersen against the cage. And it's in Saudi Arabia, so they're not going to be quick to break it up. You know how it is. Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, and even if it goes to a close decision, still Shamil should get the nod. I mean, it's heavyweight, unranked heavyweight. It's crazy. Everybody pretty much outside the top 5 is like obese. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand. Like, most of the in shape athletic dudes go to other sports like football and rugby. I mean, it's 2025. We can't get any better in shape heavyweights.
Well, and that's why somebody like me actually got decent odds to be the UFC heavyweight champion, because even though I am by no means a male model, I'm in better shape than these two.
Yeah,
honestly, odds reflect that.
Honestly, in my personal opinion, like if you are in somewhat shape, like you can get a couple wins at heavyweight. Because like I said, I mean, Jamal Pogues, Alan Boudet, Shamil, Thomas Petersen, even Mick Parkin, Tybora, Parker Porter, freaking.
I like Parker. Parker and I are
friends. Okay, well, sorry, not Parker Porter.
Don't say that shit.
The GOAT. Hey, John Jones would have got smoked in a rematch. But yeah, I'm being dead serious. I think you could probably beat a couple guys.
I think you were dead tripping when you included Mick Parkin in that list. Like, Mick Parkin would beat the shit out of most of the
here we go. A fucking foreigner rooting for a foreigner. He would beat the shit out. Here we go.
No, Mick Parkin is talented. He's got some chubs on him.
Yeah, he's a lurch. He's a lurch for sure.
I don't think you can include Mick Parkin in that list. But that's right.
I mean,
I'll let it slide. I'll let it slide.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. In terms of skill, Mick Parkin, I think he'll be top 5 for sure. But I mean, I'm just saying he's still, he's got some fat on
him. Before I let you go here and we go to the next fight, is that real hair or is that a wig?
Oh, this is my real hair.
It's great hair. Congratulations. Yeah.
Those Chicano jeans.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm jealous, so goodbye. Thanks for calling in. We appreciate you.
All right, for sure.
See ya.
If you have any free more slots open for the rest of the card, I'll be here.
All right, sounds good.
See you, Sam.
See you later, brother.
See ya. If you do want to become a premium member, support the cause and everything we got going on, WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. Not only do you get all the picks, the bets, the tools, and everything else, occasionally you get to call into this show and join us while breaking these fights down. WeWantPicks.com. It's freaking $10. It's $10. Download the app. The app's 100% free. Go to the iOS App Store, search We Want Picks. Bang! That app will be in your hands. You will get push notifications, and you'll be good to go. Sam, have you downloaded the app? You probably have an Android.
Of course. 100%. Yeah, I downloaded the app, yeah.
Oh, nice. I don't believe you.
Brother, we're where the fuck? It's not in this room. I could grab my cell phone right now. We put money on this right now.
Not in the room's crazy. I don't think I've ever been more than a foot and a half away from my cell phone. That's
I didn't have a cell phone for like 2 years in my 20s. I'm not a big social media guy.
That's crazy. What's crazy is that I can't edit I don't have video editing skills. So all I can do is like chop ends off, maybe do some little things. I can't, like some people are like, those vlogs are great. I didn't edit those. I filmed the shit out of them. I spend the whole day harping over everything, but I don't edit them. I provide notes. But the guy who edits a lot of the vlogs and a lot of the other stuff, phenomenal editor, no phone. No phone. I can't communicate with him on the phone. And it drives me as a 40-year-old, my brain cannot process that. Cannot process that.
You can't process not having a phone?
Cannot process not having
I think
a
it would
phone.
do some good. Leave it at home sometimes, brother. Just go out without it,
That's fucking nuts. You know how many emails I get a day about, hey, my login doesn't work. Hey, this. Hey, how do I do? I mean, premium it would all fall on Josh. That's not fair to him.
Take a day off. It's nobody's gonna die, It's
no such thing. It's funny because even just now, when Jacob's like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to make the show, I was like, okay, let me try to figure this out. And Tiff, my wife, was like, what is going on? I was like, yeah, Jacob's not able to do the show. I got to figure out what to do. And she was like, I can see the stress. I'm like, it's always stress. It's always something. I'm always stressing through something. And if it's my real job, it's this, it's one of the kids. It's always something. So as soon as I get some peace, there'll be something new. And now I'm at peace. So as soon as we're done here, I'm sure something new will come across my desk to stress me the hell out. That's life, Sam. And when I die at 50.
You live for it,
Well, I'd rather not. But we do what we do.
Yeah.
And before we break down this main card, we do only have 11 fights on this card. Let me go ahead and brag about this damn safety parlay. And before you throw a fit and cry about Rinya Nakamura, I assure you I have spread more tears than anybody about that absolute cuck buffoon not shooting a takedown. If you watch the vlog of Jacob and I, Jacob is alive, proof of life is in that vlog. I keep seeing the comment section. That vlog was filmed on Saturday. We were together Saturday watching fights in real life, and it was a spectacular time because it was one of the only times that Jacob and I get to just watch some fights and chill, and we don't have to do anything. We're not accountable. There's no bets, nothing. We just get to watch fights and enjoy. So I got to enjoy some time with my best friend. We watched those fights, and if you watch the vlog, you will hear some arguing. There we go. That's just the wallpaper. Oh, you're loading the app. You'll hear some arguing, or not arguing, some banter, and it is Jacob talking about Rinya Nakamura and his reaction on live stream when Rinya wasn't shooting takedowns. He was like, oh boy, here we go. This is going to be a problem. So I get it. Rinya blew up the last safety parlay, but even with the chaos that is the fight game, even with the ridiculousness that is world-level wrestlers not doing what the hell they're supposed to do, safety parlay remains the beacon of stability. Hit 10 of the last 12. You can unlock the safety parlay now for not only this event, but 4 events, because you get an entire month's worth of access for only $10. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. If you want 50 smackaroos, what is that, a cat? Where's the rest of your dog?
It's my dog.
Where's the rest of it?
What
kind of dog is that?
It's a miniature bulldog.
Nice. I like the one black eye.
Yeah, no, he's a bit patchy. I actually got him for free. Yeah.
Because he's a rescue, or you stole it?
No, he had idiopathic tremors. It's It's when your head
You
shakes
got
constantly.
an epileptic dog?
Yeah, well, he had it because he was not getting enough milk as like a pup, right? And so what happened was once we got him home, we just started like giving him some nutrients and stuff. Fixed itself in a couple of weeks. Fucking bargain dog.
So they're like, this dog shakes, you can have it.
Yeah,
And then he gave the dog some milk and he just stopped shaking.
He would retail for like 3,500 New Zealand as well. So like,
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on the dog. And if you want $50 to help with your own journey into dog ownership, you can get it now. Just go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Use the link, sign up with any one of our betting partners, make a deposit. We'll send you $50 to thank. It's affiliate marketing. They're going to pay me. I'll slice off some of that money and give it right back to you. You can then use that money to unlock everything Premium has to offer. One of those things is the data analyzer. We had somebody call into the show earlier today, talk about the data analyzer, everything it's done for them. The data analyzer is a tool that will help you do your own research. You select your event, you select your fighter. Right there, you have every single data point you could ever want or need, not only for the fighter you selected, but their opponent on that fight card. You can then work your way down. Stack filters. You can say, I want to see how many strikes this fighter lands in TKO wins, in decision losses, whatever filters you want to stack. And then you can go to your sports book, you can go to Prize Picks, you can go to Underdog, find those lines, use the data, and jump into those spots. You can also click any one of those plot points on that pretty little chart, and the video of that fight will pop up right there, and you can watch those fights with your own eyes. This is available along with all the other tools, including this ridiculous picture that this guy sent me. I'm like, hey, Sam, now that you're providing stuff for us, I'll throw you on the slide here, include you. Send me a picture. And this is one of the freaking pictures he sent, man. This is crazy. So you're just holding the phone with one hand. You go, did you actually make a noise with your mouth? Or you just opened it all wide?
Just like
I think you just opened it. And we also have Artem. A couple of guys in that neck of the woods holding it down for us. An artificial intelligence, of course. Jakey Boys picks and bets are up right now for UFC Saudi Arabia. Unlock every single thing now. WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member. At the top, freaking $10. And here is the address if you want to send something for the vlog. P.O. Box 406, Prosper, Texas 75078. Of course, you can send a letter. You can send whatever you want. If you are a small business, you want to showcase something, go ahead. Somebody reached out and said, hey, we make this. I forget what it was. We make this product. How much to show it on the vlog? I'm like, I'm not going to take your money. Just send it. Write what you want, write what it is so I know what I'm looking at it. We'll talk about it. I'll unbox it on the vlog. P.O. Box 406, Prosper, Texas 75078. You ready to break down this main card?
Absolutely.
We do only have 11 fights on this card, a couple of unfortunate drops. And when they're all the way in Saudi Arabia, it is not as easy for them to go ahead and get those last-minute replacements. They're really relying on corners that might be there for a different fighter because pulling people in is not quite as easy on the other side of the planet as when they're over here or when they're in Las Vegas in their normal backyard. Luckily, this fight remains because I do think this can be entertaining. We have Muhammad Naimov taking on Kaan Ofli in the UFC Saudi Arabia opener. Muhammad Naimov, 11-3 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. He is coming off that submission loss to Felipe Lima. Taking on Kaan Ofli, 11-3 in his career as well, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that knockout loss in his UFC debut. And this is an interesting fight because Muhammad Naimov, squarely the favorite here, talented guy, pretty well-rounded. He wants to strike, but he can wrestle. He's fast, he's athletic, old-school martial arts kind of striking. He does like to plot forward. He'll throw in combinations. If he closes that distance, he's going to clinch you up. He'll strike from there. He'll actually defend takedowns early in a fight and then start shooting them later if he doesn't have the success he thought he was going to on the feet. He will shoot offensively. He's coming off the submission loss to Felipe Lima, where he was a little bit chinny, but he did also have a little bit of success early. He's taking on Kaan Ofli, a BJJ black belt. Takedowns are just okay. The striking is just okay. He's busy on the ground. He's always looking for something. He's not the longest guy in the division, so he does rely on strength to control the positions, to try to work in sweeps. He has offensive takedowns as well, but he can be taken down if he sticks to a wrestling game plan. He's a short, compact guy who can be hard to move around. He's coming off that knockout loss to Marlon Santos, where he moved forward, he was trying to grapple, but he did get cracked. Muhammad Naimov should win this fight. I mentioned earlier, I was thinking about parlaying him with Terrance McKinney. He can wrestle. He's got good hands. But the odds just keep getting trickier because there's always something up with a Muhammad Naimov fight. He was losing against Jamie Mullarkey before catching him in the second round. He had foul after foul against Nathaniel Wood. The win over Eric Silva was literally a fluke injury. And in his last fight, he was getting dropped left and right. Then he gassed and then subbed. He should win here. And I think he wins because Kaan Ofli is just too one-dimensional. And Muhammad Naimov has at least multiple dimensions. So Muhammad Naimov is going to be the pick, but maybe I'm just starting to like these guys more and more because this card is tricky and the value's going places. What do you think, Sammy baby?
Well, first of all, I had this matchup penciled out like weeks and weeks ago. This was the match where I was 100% confident. Muhammad Naimov is one of my more prominent figures that shows up in my betting slips. I always bet on Muhammad Naimov because this dude can do it all, and he's not that pretty doing it. So often his odds are, they're not juiced. He's not very popular in the public eye. He doesn't really have that much personality. So people aren't catching on that Muhammad Naimov can fucking do everything. His wrestling reversals are good. His wrestling takedowns are good. His striking defense is solid, and he has sneaky power. This dude, he knocked out Jamie Mullarkey in a fight where Jamie Mullarkey thought that he was starting to gain some footing, and then just ended up absolutely ruined. And that was before Mullarkey was known for being such a chinny merchant as well. Muhammad Naimov dropped Nathaniel Wood. I'm a big Nathaniel Wood believer. And outside of, the fouls that were obvious and all the rest of it, which honestly, when you're betting on a guy, it's kind of a bit of a positive, that he's willing to cheat for your money as well. Muhammad Naimov showcased good power, and he was able to compete with Nathaniel Wood on all frontiers. And Nathaniel Wood is about as good as you can get outside of the top 15 in any of the divisions. So Kaan Ofli, not only did he look bad, but I am also a Muhammad Naimov believer. So on both sides of this here, I'm all over Muhammad Naimov. And it's not about the price because I just look at this matchup. Who do I believe is going to win? Muhammad Naimov has all the tools to win this. Kaan Ofli is short. He showcased absolutely nothing against Mayra Santos except for an ability to eat leg kicks, a failure to take takedowns, and then also to get knocked the fuck out. I mean, that dude was out cold. So coming off of a vicious knockout, Muhammad Naimov in his fight against Felipe Lima would serve Kaan Ofli up on a platter as well. So I don't think that really regards to anything. Also, Felipe Lima in that time was sitting down at the end of the second round in between the third, and his coach was pleading with him, rallying with him, saying, do it for your mother. They were really trying to get Felipe Lima to do something. No, it was, and you could see that Felipe Lima seemed a little bit disheartened and didn't think that the fight was going his way. And, he was able to get very quickly behind Muhammad Naimov, find the choke. It was also kind of an odd scramble as well. It wasn't a traditional takedown or anything like that. And I think that Felipe Lima is a lot better than Kaan Ofli. I don't think you can take the logic that he submitted him, and so Kaan Ofli's going to. I'm all over Muhammad Naimov here, and I think he wins inside the distance as well.
There you go. So we're both on the same side of this. You're a little more confident than I am, but I get it. I've been getting more confident as the week goes on. There's a couple fighters I'm getting less confident in. Two that I'm notably getting more confident in. One is Muhammad Naimov. The other is Jasmine Jasudavicius. Again, when you do this and you've got thousands of people commenting and giving you their opinions, sometimes that'll influence how you feel. So I don't know if my confidence is growing on those two fighters because of outside influence or just my confidence is growing on those two fighters. But Muhammad Naimov is somebody that I'm getting more and more confident in. I do have some action on him. I could not parlay him, even though I tried. It wouldn't let me parlay him, but I still threw a little bit of cash on him. $9,000 in DraftKings Fantasy, though. I'm going to have to look at that a little closer. I do think he could potentially be worth it. He could maybe finish Kaan Ofli, but $9,000 is a good amount of money to spend. And Kaan, short little bulldozer of a guy, might just come forward, slow the pace a little bit, stay a little durable. I know he was just finished his last fight, but Muhammad Naimov, while he does hit hard, I don't think he hits quite as hard as Kaan Ofli's last opponent, but
I think in the hands specifically, I think Myron Santos actually doesn't have as much power. His striking.
You don't think Marlon Santos has? Dude, Marlon Santos.
It's Myron.
Fast
it's Myron.
and
No,
hits hard.
It's Myron Santos. No, Myron. I believe it's
Marlon, but I could be wrong.
Myron Santos. He hits decent, but his kicks and his striking fluidity, I think, speak more than his raw power. But that's not.
I mean, that could be right. Because plenty of knockouts come from the person didn't see them coming and not necessarily the raw power behind it. But either way, Kaan Ofli was sparked in that last fight, coming a little too aggressive trying to wrestle. This fight might be different. We'll see what happens. I am going to pick Muhammad Naimov. Not quite sure on that $9,000 in DraftKings Fantasy, but if you do play DraftKings Fantasy and if you do care about DraftKings Fantasy and what that looks like, well, we have an entire suite of tools for you. We have a DraftKings Optimizer that will build lineups for you. We have the best ownership projections on planet Earth. We have everything you could ever need heading into a fight week for bets, fantasy, and everything else. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. Freaking $10 for an entire package worth of tools, insight, bets, and more. Next up, at UFC Saudi Arabia, we have a moved fight. This fight has been on the card for quite some time now, but it has moved, rightfully so, up to the main card after we lost Ikram Aliskirov, and then we lost a couple of other fights. So they shuffled the whole thing and said, you know what? Mike Davis versus Faraz Ziam. Couple of guys that have proven themselves at this level should be on the main card. And I agree with that statement. We got Faraz Ziam, 16-4 in his career. 4-1 in his last 5. He is on a 4-fight win streak. He's taken on Mike Davis, 11-2 in his career. 4-1 in his last 5, but he's coming off a bicep tear. And that's sort of the story of Mike Davis. Mike Davis is a very talented guy. Mike Davis can do all the things. He's fast. He's athletic. He's a good striker. He's got real power. He can wrestle. His kicks are incredible. He'll double tap the body and then kick the head before that foot even makes its way back to the mat. He's incredibly well-rounded. He has showcased that in his last 4 fights where he had a combined 14 takedowns. He is coming off that finish win over Natan Levy where we saw the power, but he was injured. That's why we have long breaks between his fights. This is not his first injury. He is taking on the French Savate fighter in Faraz Ziam. Long, rangy guy. He'll work well in the clinch if he can. He manages range, solid leg kicks. When he decides to close that distance, he works to a clinch. Then he'll put in some solid elbows and some good work. Technical fighter, but he does typically like to avoid risks. He'll pick his shots. He'll only engage if he sees an opportunity. He will take his time, and then he will look to point his way to a victory. He is, however, coming off of his first official UFC finish win over Matt Frevola. This is a good fight. It's an interesting fight. I think Mike Davis wins this fight. I was surprised to see the line movement. If you're only seeing these two numbers and you see, oh, Mike Davis opened at a -125. He's now -140. A little bit of movement in the Mike Davis side. While that's the bookend story, what you missed were the pages in between where Mike Davis, first of all, how about that? Like, how smooth was that analogy? That wasn't prepped or anything. It's not my notes. It's not prepped. That just came to me. I said bookends, and then I said pages in between. And I was like, holy shit. That was smooth as hell. And honestly, it's those type of smooth transitions that I don't think the people appreciate because you just hear it and you expect, wow, that was smooth. I get it. The guy's he's so eloquent. How is he all of these things? I don't know how that, it just came to me. Crazy work. Anyway, the story that were the odds, and even that transition, the story that were the odds was that Mike Davis did open at -125. He is currently -140, but he was -200 in between. Mike Davis was a good size favorite in between, and it made sense. What does not make sense is all the money coming in for Faraz Ziam to drive that line down. I understand Faraz Ziam just finished Matt Frevola. I understand that. But Matt Frevola is a pretty finishable guy. He is dangerous. He had that choke for a second there. But Matt Frevola is kind of a wild, dangerous guy. A little loose, a little reckless. Faraz Ziam was able to take advantage of that and got it done. I still think Mike Davis, despite the layoff, despite the injuries, absolutely works here. The ability to strike, but then say, you know what, I need to wrestle here is going to matter quite a bit. I think Mike Davis gets it done. I think he will wrestle quite a bit. What do you think, Samuel?
It's tough for me from like a favoritism standpoint here because I actually have bet on both of these gentlemen and, profited in many of their last matchups. So I'm a fan of both of them as far as like the styles of them. I like how Faraz Ziam can be quite awkward for people who are traditional style grapplers. A lot of those guys that think they're going to be able to take people down, that 6'1" frame really does give people problems. It's not just a statement that people throw around. And, he even called for the knee that he was going to KO Matt Frevola. He said, look, I'm expecting a big knee finish here at home. And he sure as hell got it. It was a highlight reel knockout, put Matt Frevola out bad. One thing that I will say here is that Frasium, while he's a good technical striker and this, that, the other thing, I think that if he tries the same type of shit that was giving him a lot of success against Matt Frivola in the clinch, Mike Davis is just going to dump him on his ass and ride out control time. Mike Davis is incredibly powerful, and he's not a small guy as well. I mean, 6 feet tall here. Mike Davis drops a lot of weight to get down to that limit. He's a little bit thicker than Ziam. He's the better traditional wrestler. And we saw Frasium get his back taken, get climbed by Terrance McKinney, subbed in round 1. I think Mike Davis can lock up a hidden arm triangle. He can also take the back and ride out time there, So I'm liking Mike Davis here. He's got enough power to be able to hang in the striking, but he's going to excel in the grappling. And I think you could take him double chance by submission or decision. I'm taking Mike Davis. I took him at a bet at minus 200, and I doubled down when the odds got close, So I'm going Mike Davis here. Heavy lean, and I am a fan of Frasium as well. So, I'm putting a lot of weight into this pick here.
Yeah, I mean, my only concern, the only hesitation I had, Mike Davis is the other side of that parlay I have with Shamil. Both of them should win, but I do have some concerns. On the Shamil side, a little concern about maybe potential cardio. What happens if he's the one taken down? Mike Davis side, the layoff. The layoff is the only concern. The other piece that I give some consideration to, but not quite a concern, is Faraz is coming off that spectacular win. He's on a little bit of a streak here. He has momentum. That seems to matter very much in this sport. The confidence that comes with some of those wins carries over into the next fight. I think Mike Davis is bigger, stronger, faster, hits harder, better wrestler. Therefore, he should win. I think you're going to get better odds now than ever. These odds are spectacular, frankly. The injuries are a little questionable. Hopefully, it's not going to affect his performance. The only thing that gives me a little bit of comfort is this is not the only time he's had a long layoff from injury. It's basically every other fight. He wins a fight. He looks amazing. We talk about how good he is. He gets injured. We see him in a year, and that cycle continues. This will be more of the same. DraftKings Fantasy, I do think Mike Davis is going to be worth that $8,500. I mentioned he has 14 takedowns in his last couple of fights. 14. 1-4. That's 5 points per takedown. I think he could score quite well here, potentially even get a finish. Frost has been finished. So I think Mike Davis can get it done. I think Mike Davis can put up quite a few points, and I think Mike Davis will be worth it. I love these current odds. When I parlayed him, he wasn't as good of odds as he is now, so you can get even better value there. If you do want to check out all the picks, the bets, the tools, not just my bets, Jakey's bets, BetSam's bets, all the tools, the insight, and more. Go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member, use BetSam's code. Give this guy a couple of bucks. $10 for every single thing that we do. The next 4 events will be included. You sign up right now. You go all the way out through UFC Seattle. Next up, at UFC Saudi Arabia, we have Saeed Nurmagomedov taking on Vinicius Oliveira. This is a really fun matchup that also has quite a bit of line movement. Vinicius Oliveira seems to be one of the consensus underdogs that the community seems to be enjoying. We got Saeed Nurmagomedov at 18-3. He is 4-1 in his last 5. He is coming off yet another guillotine win, taking on Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira, 21-3 in his career. 4-1 in his last 5. He is on a 4-fight win streak. Saeed Nurmagomedov has the look, right? He's all beard, no stash. He has the last name. Not only is he an Ov, he's a Nurmagomedov. You would make a lot of assumptions looking at the face, looking at the lip, and looking at that last name, but that's not who he is. He's not a diehard grappler. He's a flashy striker. He uses his length really well. He keeps range. He's dangerous both in and out of the pocket. He can literally throw kicks to your head while just standing this far away from you. His striking is versatile. His takedown defense is okay. It's good. It's not amazing at 65%. The length benefits him not only on the feet to manage range, but also on the ground. He does use those long guide chokes like guillotine. Specifically, his guillotine choke has got him 3 wins in his last 5 fights from one single submission. It's Ronda Rousey-esque. Last time out, it was against Muin Gafarov. He's taking on Vinicius Oliveira. Vinicius Oliveira is a really fun guy to watch. He's going to charge forward. He'll throw everything at the wall looking for a finish. He's sloppy, but he is dangerous. He's not just chaos on the feet. He is also chaos on the ground. He'll get you to the ground, just start rain down strikes any way that he can. He is winning fights with aggression, with power, with creativity. He is coming off that decision win where he was Jacob's underdog lock of the week. Jakey Boy and I were there in person at UFC 303 where he was stuffing the takedowns, worked his ass off, and beat Ricky Simone. And the question becomes, how many people can Saeed Nurmagomedov win or beat with a guillotine? One single move just keeps finding it. There's more than one of those wins he was losing. Go look at the Sayodya win. He was losing that fight, getting out wrestled, getting taken down, getting controlled. Bang, sucked up that guillotine. He's as close to a one-trick pony as you can get, but he's not just one trick. He can strike as well. He's not desperately pulling guard. The reason his guillotine got so good is because people are trying to constantly take him down because of his striking. With all of that being said, I still am going to pick Vinicius Oliveira. Low confidence, right? I'm not here screaming and yelling, standing on a box talking about how this is a catastrophe and how could Vinicius be an underdog. I understand why he's the underdog. He probably should be the underdog, but I do think he wins. He's an aggressive guy. He's going to come forward. He's going to say in Saeed's face, the range won't matter because he's going to close that distance. He's got good takedown defense if Saeed were to decide to wrestle. He's got good power, great creativity. I think Vinicius can absolutely win this fight. My one and only concern, the reason I have not bet on him, is sometimes he's a little too reckless, a little too loose, trying to find a finish. And that's where Saeed can kind of take over, work in some counter-striking, potentially snatch a neck. What do you think, Sammy, baby?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Vinicius Oliveira is definitely the more exciting athlete in between here, and exactly the type of guy you want to pick as an underdog in just about any matchup. And, you know, that's because he's a finisher through and through. He loves to taunt his opponents when he gets out ahead of them. He's exciting. He's fun. He has finishes in all manner of ways. And in his last fight, he couldn't have looked better. I mean, against Ricky Simon, he went out there, looked phenomenal, but I think Ricky Simon is falling off, and I think his time in the sport is coming to a close. I cannot say the same about Saeed Nurmagomedov. And, you know, Saeed Nurmagomedov, he's closer to Umar Nurmagomedov than he is Khabib. You know, he uses that front leg incredibly well. His striking is very pinpoint accurate. And as Angelo alluded to, you know, that guillotine is second to none inside of this division. I think that Saeed Nurmagomedov can take Vinicius Oliveira to school if Vinicius tries to hang on the outside and strike. And as far as Vinicius Oliveira's wrestling here, I don't think he can commit to a wrestling game plan that's going to be, you know, enough to frustrate Saeed Nurmagomedov here. I'm going to go with Saeed because, you know, he's more proven against UFC level talent. And realistically, when you line up beating Ricky Simon and Bernardo Sapai on short notice, I really don't think that equates to beating Saeed Nurmagomedov. You know, if this dude didn't have the swag, didn't have the aura, and he was just some guy with the exact same record, everybody would be all over Saeed Nurmagomedov at these odds. So I'm going to stick with my gut here, and I'm taking Nurmagomedov.
Listen, I don't have an issue with you making that pick, but it's absurd. If Vinicius is falling off, dude, he's fucking 29, coming off a great win.
I said Ricky Simon was falling off. What the hell?
Oh, okay. I was like,
this dude is surging. He's never looked better. His last performance was the best. No, Ricky Simon is falling off.
Oh, yeah. All right. Then my bad. That was completely on me because I'm like, did I just hear this correct? That makes no sense. All right. That makes sense.
Dude, this dude is literally like at the pinnacle of his career right now. Yeah. I must say as well, my pick is Saeed Nurmagomedov, but if Vinicius goes out here and he finishes Saeed, this dude is his trajectory is going to go through the roof. You know, the UFC marketing team is going to fucking get behind him in a big way.
He's fun as hell. Like, yeah, he's fun as hell. I thought you were about to say I wouldn't be surprised, and then we can't have two Angelos. We can't go with both. And somebody's got to be decisive.
Yeah, no. I have bets on Saeed Nurmagomedov, and if you guys sign up to premium today, you might even see a prop bet as well. So,
give him your promo code. You can make a couple of bucks here.
That's right. Don't worry about it.
It's all the same shit. Give him your promo code. You'll get them like.
That's right. Yeah.
That's so stupid not to give him the promo code so you can make it.
Listen, guys, I'm a fan of the sport. I'm not here for the money. Sign up to We Want Picks Premium today. It is the greatest value in this space. At only $10 a month, you guys spend more on the McDonald's drive-thru. It's fucking $10, but just go. Do it today. You'll make more on this event for the entire month, and you're going to get myself. You're going to get the GOAT of picking full cards, Adam. You're going to get Angelo, and you're going to get Jacob as well. And Jacob hasn't disappeared, guys. He's just taking a day off. Everybody can take a day off every now and then.
People love it. I actually went because he hasn't been very active in the Discord either. And Jacob and I hung out on Saturday in person, and I don't get to hang out with Jacob very often. We live near each other, but you know, for the most part, we've got stuff going on. I used to only see him for UFC pay-per-views, and then he started streaming, so then I don't even see him for UFC pay-per-views all the time. So seeing him on Saturday was a nice treat. He's like literally my best friend. I love hanging out with the kid. And it was a great night. It was a ton of fun. So in my head, I was like, I wonder if like this whole quiet and Discord thing is like just trying to build, you know, like a bit, like trying to build up the where is he and like what's going on.
It's working.
I mean, it's not what it is. But I was like, nice. Like, good for him. I think he's literally just like, a couple weeks off. Just enjoy the time. Like, take a break. I get it, man. I get it. But no, he's not dead. Check the friggin' vlog for proof of life.
Instead of pushing code, I will say Jacob is not going to be streaming a watch party for this one. However, I will be. I've set my alarm. I will be getting up at 2:30 New Zealand time to stream the entire card. Israel Adesanya is the main event. I think it finishes somewhere around 9 a.m. my time. So you can tune in to BetSam for a watch party for the entire card coming up this weekend.
I mean, definitely watch the kid and support him, but God, that sounds terrible. Oof.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't.
My wife was like, you cannot be setting an alarm at 2:30 in the middle of the night for a Sunday morning. She was, you just can't do that. I was like, I'm doing it. That's fine.
Yeah, that is like, because are you even going to be able to fall asleep?
Like before, I go to sleep at 9 p.m. I stopped drinking alcohol like 6 months ago. I go to work, exercise, do this. That's it. That's my life. Like I swear to God.
Why did you mention alcohol?
No. There's just you used to always cook me. A little bit of background, guys. I did used to join the call-in show, and I was always stopping off at the liquor store and smashing like 6 or 7 Coronas while waiting in the freaking queue. So it's
All right. Well, okay, man. Hey, congratulations on sobriety. Good for you. Shaved your head, going all Britney Spears crazy on us. All right. Yeah, having a drink sounds terrible.
Also, Angelo, you got to send me that PNG for the shirt because I got to get it made. It's not this weekend, next weekend. I'm going to be in Sydney, so I need to get that shirt made.
I'll send it.
Yeah.
Next up at UFC Saudi Arabia, we have the featured fight of the evening. We have Sergei Pavlovic taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik, a battle of the heavyweight strikers. Neither one of these gentlemen have ever attempted a takedown, and I don't suspect they will here. We have Sergei Pavlovic 18-3 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He is riding back-to-back losses, taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik, 15-5 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He's on a nice 3-fight win streak. And this is a really fun fight because these are heavyweight strikers. Sergei Pavlovic is a beast, lightning fast, hits like a freight train. He's mostly a boxer. You're not going to see those chicken legs doing a lot of work, but those hands are there, and he has incredible speed for his size. His striking volume is also impressive. He does trust his chin enough to hang out in the pocket and bomb away. Trusting his chin for the most part works, but it did fail him against Tom Aspinall. His speed, however, will keep him one step ahead against most people. He's got 0 takedowns in the UFC. He's only been taken down 1 time so far as well. He's coming off that decision loss to Alexander Volkov, where a simple jab made it impossible for Sergei to find that range and get it done. Taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik. This guy is a heavy-handed striker. He's a Muay Thai striker by trade. But style-wise, he's actually more of a counter striker than the traditional Muay Thai guy. He is going to wait for you to overcommit. And if you do overcommit, he's going to fire away. You know what you're going to get with Jairzinho. Also, no takedowns whatsoever in the UFC. Takedown defense is very solid at 75%. He's coming off the decision win over Tai Tuivasa, where he tripled the strikes and showcased technical skills. The showcasing of technical skills is the key point here. I think Jairzinho Rozenstruik can win this fight. I think Sergei Pavlovic is going to move forward if he headhunts, if he's looking for a finish, if he's trying too hard. That's exactly where Jairzinho can take the step back and connect. Take the step off to the side and connect. The longer the fight goes, the less sting there will be on the Pavlovic punches. Sergei Pavlovic just struggled with a basic 1-2 in his last fight. Granted, that's a bit simplified coming from me because he did fight a 7-foot man, so the range was kind of a problem. But the reality is, Sergei Pavlovic is in a situation where he's going to have to connect. He's going to have to connect earlier. He's going to be in a lot of trouble. I think Jairzinho Rozenstruik can win this fight. I think if he sticks to the basics, uses the counter-striking, doesn't overextend, doesn't chase a finish, which is what Jairzinho does. He doesn't chase finishes. I think he can have success here. Obviously, Sergei's punching power and speed is a bit concerning, but Jairzinho Rozenstruik is going to be the pick. These odds continue to widen. And I haven't quite pulled the trigger yet because these are heavyweights and anything can happen, but I do think these odds are quite wide. What do you think, Betty Boy?
I mean, listen, if this fight had taken place before Sergei had just had, the loss to Tom Aspinall, the loss to Volkov, then we'd be looking at an entirely different number here. I expect that he would be a minus 600 favorite there, and everyone would be very high on him going into this matchup. And the only thing that's really changed is that the same guy got exposed by two fighters that are not named Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I am a big Jairzinho Rozenstruik fan. I got to jump on here in the call-in show and say hi to him, thanks to We Want Picks. And then I also got to fist bump him on his way out of the octagon after defeating Taito Ivasa as well, because I was right by the barrier there and I shouted out to him as well. So, big fan of the guy, especially, seeing him live in person, that always kind of changes the way you perceive people here. But I did some digging in, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, very extensive kickboxing career. He has 64 knockouts in his 80-something kickboxing career. And then in his UFC career as well, 15-5 there. Out of his 15 wins, 13 of those are knockouts. This is not Alexander Volkov. I mean, this dude has an 83% finish rate between kickboxing and his MMA fights, which is phenomenal. That means that, this dude is a finisher. And while Sergei Pavlovich just went to the decision by getting jabbed by Alexander Volkov, if Jairzinho gets out ahead here, he's putting Sergei to sleep. I don't like the price of Sergei Pavlovich here, but he is not Taito Ivasa. He's not going to swing wild hooks. They are going to be straight. They're going to be down the pipe. And I think he is going to be able to find Jairzinho Rozenstruik. But Jairzinho is live for the counter here. So for me, I'm going to treat this the exact same way that I did treat Jamal Hill and Yuri Prohaska last week, which is I'm going to bet this fight to end via KO. And I'm not really going to pick a side as far as the betting goes. But if you took the odds out of this here, I would still have to go to Sergei Pavlovich, because I still remember this dude being the Grim Reaper of this division. He was going out and picking up everybody's chin on a platter in round one and going home with them. He was collecting heads, and I thought that, maybe he could even do it to Tom Aspinall. I was scared for Tom Aspinall in that matchup there. So for somebody who was the boogeyman of this division here, I still have to pick him. So I'm picking Sergei Pavlovich, but my bet here is this fight to end by knockout. So
it should end by knockout, because to your point, they're both high-level strikers. There should be no wrestling at all. So it should end by knockout. But, I mean, if Jairzinho does have a pretty special ability to slow a pace, to take things down to where he wants it, which is the counter-striking. Because he's not crazy fast, but he's very technical, and he's very buttoned up. So if Sergei feels like he's having success and he overcommits and Jairzinho cracks him a few times, slows that pace, yeah, I mean, it should be a knockout. I mean, these are heavyweights, they're strikers, they're on the main card for a reason. It's not like that freaking bag of mashed potatoes we have earlier on the fight card. So I get it. We are on opposite sides of this fight, Sam. I'm going to stick with Jairzinho here. I didn't quite pull the trigger because I fully recognize that one punch can change an entire heavyweight fight. If you do want to unlock all the picks, the bets, the tools, and everything else, go to WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's freaking $10 for an entire month. Everything you could ever want or need. UFC 312 is next week. Aiden, is this the fight you wanted to come back for?
Welcome, Aiden.
What's going on, guys? How are you guys?
Good. Is this the fight? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, that is what I would like to talk about. Yes, sir.
Well, let's hear it.
Oh, the Pavlovich Rozenstruik? No. It was the MVP Shara. I apologize. Sorry.
You
Next
son
one.
of a bitch.
I know. I think you
back to the bus, kid.
Back to your hole. Next up, at UFC Saudi Arabia, we have the co-main event of the evening. We have a very interesting fight with a couple of weight class changes and quite a bit of discussion. We got Nurmagomedov. He has 2 O's in his name and only 1 I on his head. He's taking on Michael Venom Page. Nurmagomedov, 15-0, undefeated in his career with 12 knockouts. Michael Page, Venom, as we affectionately know him, 12-3 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He is coming off that decision loss to Ian Gary. Nurmagomedov is somebody I've compared to a comic book villain more than one time. He has 1 eye. He's missing a tooth. He's got that wild beard looking in 9 different directions. He's got very good striking. He popped onto the scene last year, and they told us this guy was a killer. And while on paper, he's got quite a few finishes, certainly long before the UFC, the actual execution of those finishes in the UFC are a bit up and down. Sure, he finished Antonio Tricoli, but that was on 1 week's notice. Took a little bit of time. His last fight, however, was a wild double spinning back fist like something we've never seen before, but he was losing that fight up until that point. He has 15 fights with 12 knockouts, so he obviously is quite dangerous, insanely powerful, very fast. He'll mix up striking techniques. He's got a ton of kicks. He bounces very lightly on his toes, and even if he is taken down, he doesn't give up. He moves, he continues to work, and tries to get back to his feet. And I mentioned he's coming off that insane double back fist knockout over Armen Petrosyan at UFC 308. Michael Venom Page is a savage striker. He's been very successful in his career. Successful in Bellator, moved over to UFC last year. He showed up on the scene with an absolute showcase over Kevin Holland. And before you guys say Kevin Holland sucks and he's washed, at that time, Kevin Holland was on a nice little streak there, if you will. Even in the loss to Wonder Boy, he looked spectacular coming into that fight. Kevin Holland is a guy that's a pretty solid striker, and if you strike with him, he is there, and he's giving you a hard time. And Michael Venom Page just absolutely showcased. The most impressive thing about that fight and any other Michael Venom Page fight is his ability to cover large distances in a short period of time. He will leap 6 feet forward, crack you a few times, and then be gone. Michael Venom Page has a combat karate background, and that's what helps him. His hands are low. His footwork is insane. He leaps in and out. He touches, he goes, and he's a hard guy to get connected to. His takedown defense is just okay. You're not going to see him attempt any offensive takedowns. And he is, however, coming off that loss to Ian Gary, where he was winning the striking exchanges. He was beating who many people thought was one of the better strikers in the division. But then Ian started to switch it up, shooting some takedowns. And ultimately, that was Michael Venom Page's demise, were the takedowns. A lot of people love Shar in this fight, and I get it, right? Because Shar Nurmagomedov is a guy that can make things happen. We've seen him losing, and then he pulls it out. We've seen him use kicks for 4 minutes of a 5-minute round. We've seen him mix things up and do it well. We've also seen him back up. We've seen him be gun shy. We've seen him get controlled on the feet. And I think Michael Page's awkward style, incredible speed, the length, the weirdness can be successful. I fully recognize this is a different weight class. But Michael Venom Page is not a small guy. He's 6'3". So yeah, 6'3" at welterweight was crazy. 6'3" at middleweight, I don't think that's insane. I think he'll look good, a little more filled out. Hopefully he doesn't lose the speed, because that is his biggest asset in this fight, is his speed and his movement. I'm going to pick Venom Page as an underdog. I have been picking him for 3 weeks. What do you think, Sammy?
I mean, listen, I was going to leave this fight entirely off of my betting bingo card this week, but then Jacob, if you guys haven't seen this video, Jacob put out his lock of the week video, and Jacob is in a must-win spot as far as he is concerned himself. He's never lost more times in a row than this, so this is a week where to him, I believe he probably thinks it's pretty important. And he's picked Michael Venom Page. And it made me peel back the layers here and think, what is he seeing here that I'm potentially not? So I like to go back, and I do tape study in very different ways. Well, I like to turn down the volume, and I like to sit there and try and watch it like it's a brand new fight. Try and take any biases out of it, And so I'm sitting there. I don't know either of these fighters here. I'm watching Michael Venom Page versus Kevin Holland. And even with the volume turned down, there's one thing that I caught in between the first and the second round, and it was when Kevin Holland's corner was trying to give him advice, and they're trying to tell him how to get to Michael Venom Page, and he says he's not there. And he was frustrated, and he was shaking his head. And it's because even Kevin Holland literally couldn't figure out a way to get to Michael Venom Page in the striking. And Kevin Holland is a pretty dang good striker. Now, listen, Shar Nurmagomedov, he might be up a weight class as well. This might be some home cooking, cracked-ass decision, but that's not what we're telling you guys is here to avoid corrupt judging. We're telling you who to pick in this fight. And Michael Venom Page and his style here, the way that he leaps in, I think he's going to see Shar Nurmagomedov's kicks coming. I think he's going to be able to get out of the way of them. He's going to leap in with either his left or right hand, and even his leg kicks as well. He's going to be able to close that distance. And I think he's going to be able to outland Shar Nurmagomedov. I think more importantly than that, he's going to be able to make Shar Nurmagomedov miss. And unless you are taking Michael Venom Page down, or at least, threatening the takedown, I really don't think that he's an easy guy to beat for anybody in either of these two divisions here. So I think Michael Venom Page is going to be my side. Odds aside, I really think that he can get it past Shar Nurmagomedov here as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in with a game plan here to close up the one eye that can see out of Shar Nurmagomedov. So I'm going to take MVP as well here.
It is crazy. Dana White said the only reason that Shara has to fight in Abu Dhabi, in Saudi Arabia, in that part of the world is because he doesn't think a U.S. commission would license him with the one eye. I don't know if that's true. I mean, we've seen other fighters with handicap. I managed Nick Newell, for Christ's sake. And obviously, he's a congenital amputee. That's different than missing an eye because depth perception and all that. But I mean, the guy's 15-0. He's got 4 wins at the UFC level. Obviously, the eye isn't affecting his ability to win fights. So I would like to see Chara in America at some point. But for now, we'll get this, and we'll hope that we don't get some home-cooked judging. I got a gift last year when I had Renat Fakhretdinov in the safety parlay, and he did not win that fight, and they gave it to him. That was a gift. And I don't know what I did to please the MMA gods, but I'm happy I did it because we've been screwed before. I can't just keep getting lucky. So
I don't think you won either, but I don't think that was the biggest robbery ever. I really don't. Like he was in that fight, you know. Like I agree. I think that Lau won, but I don't think it was the biggest robbery. I've definitely seen worse on mini cards in a row. So
I think the worst robbery in modern MMA was Isaac Dogarian not beating C-Rod. That's one of the worst robberies I've seen in the last 15 years. Before that was Michael Bisping beating Matt Hamill. That was bullshit. But this one, I mean, Renat isn't at the top of that. It's Renat's win wasn't quite as bad as Isaac Dogarian's, but I mean, it wasn't good. But hey, we've been screwed before.
It's good for my account, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Like we've been screwed before, so a win's a win, and that honestly is the reason why I haven't bet Michael Bennett Page, because I don't think MVP has the power to knock out Chara. Chara very clearly has a great chin, so MVP is going to have to fight a perfect fight for 50 minutes, which I think he can do. But if those same judges that gave Renat the win are judging this fight, like I know Russia's not Saudi Arabia, but it might as well be. So,
you know, it didn't impact the decision, but I was live at UFC 305, and Jairzinho Rozenstruik fighting Taito Ivasa. One judge gave, and he did get fired.
It was brutal.
He gave a 30-27 to Taito Ivasa. I don't think that
I had no success in that fight.
I don't think he won like 30 seconds to 1 minute of that fight, let alone like the entire thing. And he was walking back to his corner in between each round going, just fuck, get me out of here. Let me go get some beers. I'm sick of this shit, you know?
Yeah, you can't always trust judges. BetSam and I are on the same side here. We both picked the dog. Jakey Boy made Michael Venom Page's underdog lock of the week. Check out that video. If you do want to check out all the picks, the bets and tools and everything else, we offer $10 for an entire month. WeWantPicks.com. Everything you could ever want or need heading into a fight week. Tools, picks, bets, insight, research, everything. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. We're going to hit up a few people in the community who want to talk about this fight. Aiden, you're back on. Front of the bus. Who do you think wins this fight?
Again, thanks for having me. I do appreciate it. A couple things I got here. I got Chara's younger by 7 years, so that is also a major factor in gas tank. I don't know if Michael Page is able to keep up with Chara the way that he likes to put pressure on his opponents in his fights. He's also got that dog in him. You know, he'll walk in, take a couple punches, walk out. I don't think he's really going to get chinned by Michael, but, you know, there's always that chance that he finds an opening or whatever. He's also got strong and fast punches, and he's very unorthodox with his striking. He'll mix up head kicks, leg kicks, work to the body a bit, you know. And then for MVP, I also have that he has 10 more pro fights than Chara. I think the experience might show a little bit more on MVP's side over the course of the fight. But to be honest, it's a really tough take, really close fight. But I'm just going to have to go with MVP's vet status on this one, boys.
I hear you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. And before I kick you off, we have $1.99 from Parks 2. And to your point, you said MVP has 10 more fights, and Parks 2 said graphic is ass. MVP is 22-3. So I appreciate that. And yeah, that's a typo. I did a whole rant and rave about how these graphics are amazing. I do it myself. Every now and then I'll do a typo. So we appreciate you, Aiden. Thanks for calling in.
Anyways, thank you guys. I do appreciate it. Good luck this weekend. We want
see you later, buddy.
/BetSam, baby. Come on. Come on.
There you go. There you go. Guy's eating a fucking tuna like a stray cat. Disgusting freak. Michael MacArthur, you wanted to talk about this fight. Who do you have winning?
I have MVP.
Motherfucker, you were sitting here this whole time. You told me ahead of time I want to talk about the co-main event. In the behind-the-scenes chat, get me on, I'm here. And then I put you on, you go, that's what happens?
Talking about, like, I'm about to explain. I've got
Let him cook. Let him cook. Let him cook, bro. Come on.
Hands down.
I believe in you, brother. You know?
I think it's crazy on how he's been underdog. I mean, he opened as the favorite as he should. But now that he's been underdog, I think it's crazy. I actually have money on him winning by KO. I know that y'all kind of against that a little bit, but
what odds did you get on that? What odds did you get on that?
What'd you say?
What were the odds? What did you get?
I think it was plus 600 when I bet.
Yeah, I mean those are solid odds.
Plus 750 on my sportsbook.
But yeah, I mean, I've got him winning by KO, but I can definitely see it by decision. I just think it's crazy that Shara is the favorite. I think it's more so just the undefeated record and probably the casuals that are betting on it. Probably haven't done their research. But that's just my kind of opinion on it. But I actually have a question for the both of y'all. I have one specifically for BetSam. I want to know how much money did you put on a particular heavyweight fighter known as Angelo Bodetti to be the heavyweight champ by the end of the year?
They max bet it. I max bet it.
How much money I bet?
Yes. How much money did you bet? Because, Angelo Bodetti opened up at plus 7,500 odds. He had better odds than Tai Tuivasa.
Sure did.
When it got put on.
I wouldn't put 50 cents on that. He's not under contract. This is the most, unless you're taking a photo of it, this is the most idiotic bet you could make.
Oh, turns out BetSam's a fucking pussy. What's your next question, Michael?
The second I meet Angelo, I'm taking him down with the blast double, boys.
Okay.
He's not ready for this.
Good luck.
No, for real, the real question I have for the both of y'all is, I forget what press conference it was. I believe it was after a pay-per-view. Dana said that he was working on something that was going to drive all the press, fucking insane, some fight. I was wondering what fight y'all think that potentially could be. Because I can't figure it out myself.
I have no clue. I thought that was going to be, this is what I thought. Jacob and I talked about this a little while ago. I thought they were going to announce Poatan versus John Jones. I thought that's what they were going to announce because Tom Aspinall's not going anywhere, and that's the only real huge fight you can make right now. That's the biggest fight you can make in MMA right now is Alex Pereira versus John Jones. I thought that's what they were going to announce. And when he didn't announce that, now I have no clue. There's not another fight that I could – there's plenty of great fights, and we're all very excited every week, but I can't think of another fight that would be that big. So I don't know. And it's not Conor.
What about you, Sam? I'm done with Conor fights. He's all
that guy's a bum. I said a year and a half ago he's never fighting again. People are like, yeah, well, look, they announced it, and I thought he was going to fight again, and then he pulled out. So, Sam, are you done eating whatever this disgusting bullshit you're eating to answer his question?
Absolutely, yeah, almost done. Listen, so I think Dana White is literally dangling a hand behind there. I think there's nothing. I think he's got an empty hand there. I think he's just talking for the sake of talking. I think maybe there was something that was close, and it could be what Angelo alluded to. But I myself as well have coned my ear. I sit there some nights thinking of what fights could be announced soon and how I could be excited by them. And I literally have no idea what the fuck it could be. And the most exciting fight for me outside of, like massive mega fights like the John Jones, Tom Aspinall fight, the biggest one just got announced, and he didn't say that was it. That was Dan Hooker and Justin Gaethje. From a fan perspective, that's as big as it gets, outside of title fights. And there's no big double title fights that they're announcing and jumping up on that Dana has showed excitement towards. So really, I think he's dangling nothing. There's no fighters out there that he's looking to come back. He's not bringing back Francis Ngannou. He hates the fucking dude's guts. So I really don't know what the hell it would be. It would shock me because I consider myself a well-educated person within this space, and I have no idea. So
I agree with that. All the retired fighters that had enough name, value with them, they're all either way too old or like Habib, where they said they're not coming back. So I was like, well, those fights aren't happening. He hates Ngannou. Everybody expects the Aspinall-Jones fight. And Dana's, I think, has said that a time or two. He's like, oh, I've got this big fight that I'm going to make, and none of y'all are going to see it coming. Y'all are going to love it, and then it never really comes to fruition. And I couldn't figure it out. That's why I was going to ask y'all and see if y'all...
Yeah, I think it was whatever he was dangling, I think is gone. So I think he was working on something. Maybe it's John Jones, Tom Aspinall. He said whatever it was fell in his lap. But obviously, I think it's gone. But appreciate you calling in. We got this main event to break down. So give us another call.
See you later, Angela. And
See ya. Next up at UFC Saudi Arabia, we have the main event of the evening. We have Israel Adesanya taking on Nasser Naimov, and I'm going to break it down with an empty chair underneath me because for some reason, BetSam just got the hell up and left right before we hit the main event. I don't know what he's doing, and maybe he came back with a different animal. BetSam apparently running an animal shelter, but we're going to go ahead and
doing here.
Yeah. How many dogs do you have in that house?
Just 2. This is the black variant. Yeah, we showed the Imavov. Now we got the Adesanya.
Oh, Jesus, we got Israel Adesanya, 24-4 in his career, 2-3 in his last 5, riding back-to-back losses, taking on Nasruddin Imavov, 15-4 in his career, 3-1-1 in his last 5. He is on a 3-fight win streak. Israel Adesanya. Tried and true. I don't need to give him much of a breakdown. We all know who he is. One of the longest reigning middleweight champions of the world. You could argue one of the best middleweights to ever live, and he certainly is that. I don't know if he is the best. I still think that despite a failed drug test, Anderson Silva is the best middleweight that's ever done it. But Israel Adesanya certainly has his place in history. He's beaten everybody ranked anywhere in this division outside of Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis. And while those losses are back-to-back, and it seems like Israel Adesanya may be on a skid, let's not forget that's the number 1 and number 2 guy in the world, and it's very plausible that Israel Adesanya is now the number 3 guy in the world, which is still a phenomenal place to be. He's a great striker who has apparently underrated jiu-jitsu, but he does seem to struggle with the takedown defense. He's taking on Nasruddin Imavov. Nasruddin Imavov is a French striker. He is busy, constantly working towards people. He can strike, he can counter-strike. He's got a good jab, solid elbows. He looks very comfortable mixing things up. He's got takedowns. He's got side control when he gets the takedowns, which is not very often. He averages fewer than 1 takedown per fight, and he doesn't really rely on them. He is coming off the decision win over Brendan Allen, where after that first round, the takedown defense really seemed to work, and he put it all together. We are at a point in Izzy's career where we need to decide, is he washed? Is he done with? Or is he just not the best guy in the world, but he's still top 5 in the world? I don't quite know yet. Obviously, when Sean Strickland dropped him, that wasn't a great look, but we found out that just, a month or 2 before that, he had a DUI. So obviously his head didn't seem to be in the right space. When Israel Adesanya lost to Dricus du Plessis, I thought he looked spectacular. I thought the striking looked unbelievable. He just couldn't defend the takedowns, and that is what it is. Nasruddin Imavov struggled early with Brendan Allen, but that was a very different fight than this one because Brendan Allen was taking him down. I am going to pick Izzy here. It's probably one of my last rides with Izzy because we'll see how good he is here. But I am picking him because I thought the striking looked great in that last fight. It's easy to remember he got kind of bullied and pushed around and dragged to the ground. But what people are forgetting is his striking looked unbelievable. He was there. He was lighting up Dricus' body. And if this is a mostly striking matchup and Nasruddin doesn't come all in on the wrestling, I think Izzy wins this fight. Does Nasruddin come all in on wrestling? He might. We haven't really seen it before, but he might. I am going to pick Izzy. I'm not going to spend my money. I think there's still too many questions. Until he gets a win, we don't really know where he is on this point of his career roller coaster. What do you think, Sammy baby?
I mean, listen, I want to start off by prefacing this by saying that Israel Adesanya is one of my favorite fighters if you look at the entire scope of MMA. He is from New Zealand. You know, I am a New Zealander. This dude was like my gateway into being a New Zealand MMA fan. You know, Israel Adesanya, I actually watched him before he got into the UFC because he fought in a New Zealand promotion called King in the Ring, and he fought my friend's older brother in there, Zane Hopman. And Israel Adesanya, in those brackets, it's a promotion. If you guys don't know this, King in the Ring is where you fight 3 times in the same night. It's an 8-man eliminator. So starts out with 4 matchups, goes to, 4 matchups, 2 matchups, and then the final. So that was less smooth than Angelo's take there. But the point is, Israel Adesanya
wasn't great.
He fucking chewed through that multiple times. And every time he was in there, he looked levels above everybody else, including my friend's older brother, who I thought was a really good fighter. And I was like, man, why is this guy so good? Fast forward a few years, he gets into the UFC and he's making light work of people in there. And I was like, oh, this guy's fucking world-class level good. It's not just that he's at a national level good. And I preface that by saying that I've been a huge fan of Israel Adesanya. I've been watching his since before he got into the UFC. I've watched every single fight he's ever had live when it happened, as far as inside of the UFC. And here and now against Nassourdine Imavov. Nassourdine Imavov is a part of the new breed of MMA fighter. He's coming up. He's doing it all. He's watched everybody not be one-dimensional, He's blended the arts throughout his entire career, and he's still evolving in doing so. When it suits him, he will go for the grappling. If it's not in the grappling realm, he will purely strike. And while he hasn't had 100% success rate, he's only struggled against the elite tier of fighters, some of which have even beat Israel Adesanya in the form of Sean Strickland. You could argue that the fight between Nassourdine and Imavov won the 5th round against Sean Strickland. So there are comparables here as well. And I do want to reference to people as well. Israel Adesanya went life and death against Kelvin Gastelum, like life and death. That fight, he literally goes there in the 5th round and says, I am prepared to die, is what he was saying out loud going into the 5th round against Kelvin Gastelum. Now, Kelvin Gastelum is a lot smaller than Nassourdine Imavov, and I challenge every single one of you guys here to name one 6'3" striker that Israel Adesanya has gone out there and styled on, because there isn't one. He hasn't fought somebody the likes of Nassourdine Imavov inside the UFC. So for people to think that he's going to be able to just kite around the outside and style on Nassourdine Imavov, I think is a fallacy. Without the grappling upside of Nassourdine Imavov, I think in a pure striking match, he's still live here. So with that grappling upside, which I witnessed him do to Chris Curtis, which was where I really got excited about Nassourdine Imavov in this matchup here, I think that if he gets the back of Israel Adesanya, he's going to sink in a body triangle because he's pretty quick at wrapping that leg up. And we've already seen what happens when Israel Adesanya is stuck here. Either he's going to rack up minutes or he's going to snatch that neck up. I'm taking Nassourdine Imavov. I think the sneaky play is to sprinkle him by submission and also hit that money line. But I think that he's live everywhere the fight goes.
Yeah, listen, I'm picking Izzy solely based off his historical body of work, and more specifically, I thought he looked phenomenal in the last fight. Obviously, he lost the grappling exchanges, but I thought he looked great in those striking exchanges. I don't necessarily disagree that Nassourdine's I don't think Nassourdine's a bad pick. I'm not betting on this fight because I'm not confident enough to spend my money. You will never see me do a flyer bet. I'm never like, the odds are good. Let's see what happens. Anytime I bet money, it's because I fully expect to win that bet. And I wouldn't fully expect to win the bet if I bet on Izzy, so I didn't do it. I don't quite think Nassourdine is as good as you're making him out to be, but I think he can win this fight. The question does become, will he wrestle? And it sounds like you think he will.
I think he's opportunistic, and that if they collide bodies, like if Izzy's trying to grab him in a Muay Thai clinch, if he's trying to lock up anything of himself, I think Nassourdine Imavov will quickly correct him as to who the better wrestler is here. If Izzy thinks he's going to get smart and try and grab the back of the neck of Nassourdine Imavov, I think he's going to reap the leg and end up on top of him, and Izzy's going to go, oh, fuck, that was a terrible idea. And once he smells that he has grappling success at all, if he gets a single takedown, he will go back to it because he's a smart fighter in there.
Yeah, we just heard from somebody, I don't know if it was Robert Whitaker, somebody just trained with Izzy and said his jiu-jitsu is unbelievable. Did you hear that interview? I don't know if it was Robert. It might have been Robert Whitaker. I know they were hanging out training together, but said like his jiu-jitsu is so underrated. And obviously, we just watched him get subbed and all that. And I haven't seen underrated jiu-jitsu, so maybe in the training room versus in a fist fight are two very different things, but that is the narrative coming out of there.
I mean, the only large bodies that I know of that are UFC level that come out of City Kickboxing that Israel Adesanya's getting working with there, Navajo Sterling, Carlos Olberg, who else? So where's he getting this phenomenal world-class Brazilian jiu-jitsu from? In New Zealand, one of the smallest nations on the earth. I'm from New Zealand as well, guys. I'm not shitting on it here. I'm just saying, if he was to have this unbelievable jiu-jitsu that we haven't seen now in, what is this, like a 13, 14 fight UFC, 0 submissions, against some of these guys who now they really don't hold up, fighting guys like Marvin Vittori, Brad Tavares, Derek Brunson. These guys were good back then. They don't hold up to today's talent. And we haven't seen a single submission out of Israel Adesanya. He's going to whip it out the bag here against Nassourdine Imavov. I don't think so.
Yeah, listen, I'm on the Izzy side because I thought the striking looked good. I think this is mostly striking, but I do think Nassourdine could be a solid underdog. If you don't want to see some tiebreakers, you want to see who Artem picked. If you want to see who Jacob, who couldn't join us tonight, picked, All of his picks, the bets, the artificial intelligence, every single thing that we do is up right now at WeWantPicks.com. Just click Become a Member at the top. Do you have a $5 super chat from Creeper's Keeper? He said, BetSam is a good dude. Got my vote, Angelo. Is a math. Hold on. This guy doesn't, you don't have punctuation. I think what this says is BetSam is a good dude. Got my vote. Angelo is a master at this game. Seriously, what happened with Jacob? Bless you all. WWP, the best of your buck. Jakey Boy is alive and well. We just filmed the vlog together on Saturday. He just sent me a text about an hour and a half before the live stream. Was like, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it, not up to it. So wasn't able to join us today, unfortunately, but all the conspiracy theories that I have given him AIDS, those are invalid. I can confirm. Well, actually, I can't confirm. I haven't seen his blood work, but we can assume he's AIDS-free. Certainly on Saturday, I didn't see any signs of that horrible disease. What I have seen signs, though, are signs of life inside of the app. We've had 3,000 downloads, I believe, at this point. And anybody with an iPhone anywhere in this world can just search We Want Picks in the iOS App Store, download the app, and have full access to every single thing that we do. All the picks, all the bets, all the tools, everything we offer is available inside the app and ready to go. Also, with push notifications. When a bet hits the board, you will know instantly. Whether you're out or home, you can see it on your phone, immediately decide if you like it, decide if you don't, without having to wait, without having to log in, trying to browse. Bang, right there in the notification. Download the app. The app has full access to the data analyzer, one of our proudest tools, full research hub for you there. The line movement tracker, this will give you the opening odds, current odds, win probability, line movement for every fighter on every card. The prop hunter, a curated set of data specifically designed to help you find your prop bets. And people that look like this, that yell for no reason, giving you their picks and bets. Artem, who picks not only UFC, but other cards as well, an artificial intelligence, every single thing that we offer. $10, WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. At the top, we're about to hit a 16-week fight stretch. So that $10 will get you 4 events. If you time it right, you'll get 4 events and then basically a 5th event as well, because we're putting up picks and bets and breakdowns early. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. You want 50, we'll send you 50 with the affiliate marketing. Go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Use a link. Sign up. Make a deposit. What do you think, Mr. Sam?
Guys, everybody, there's over 300 people watching right now. The stream only has 100 likes. Like up the freaking stream. Become a premium member today. It's only $10 a month. And honestly, even just to see all of the tools outside of our picks, if you don't believe in our picks, etc., which, by the way, you'd be a fool for not believing in, you also have all the tools and you can do all your own research. And I think it's the best platform available within this space for the lowest price as well. What else are you going to do? Sign up, become a premium member today, or you're a poor Android user. There's that as well. But, you know.
You're basically just a New Zealand version of me, but shorter, not as fast, and you don't have any of the charm. But
not as fast?
The pitch.
You mean speaking? Oh, yeah. I was like, physically, I will sprint race you.
I meant physically, but sure. So I'll sprint race you? What a ridiculous way to say race. I'll sprint race you. All right, well, Sam, thanks for hopping on. I appreciate you all last minute. So thank you. Thank you for everybody who called in. If you're watching just the end of this, we open up the show with you, with premium members that called in to help me break down these fights and break down this card. I think you enjoyed it. I enjoyed hanging out with BetSam here. I enjoyed hanging out with you guys. Appreciate every last one of you. Good luck this weekend.